So anyway, we have a wonderful guest today. It's my wife, Karis. We haven't seen her. We haven't seen her.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
I was just gonna say, I feel like I'm a guest here.
We haven't seen her
Special
for like 3
guest.
episodes or something like that.
Today I almost didn't make it, so but my parents are doing the pickups.
It's all good. Well, it's also the end of the school year too, so the kids.
Aiden's got finals. Yep. It's like college. He only takes one exam. He's coming home at 9:30. I'm like,
What?
I just dropped you off and I have to go pick you up again.
Oh, 9:30 in the morning. I thought you meant at night.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
no, no,
what
no,
the hell?
So today he has 2 exams, so he's getting picked up
Oh,
at
yeah. They just
11,
take the
yep,
test and then just go
11:35.
home.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
But
tomorrow he's going late, and then you need to pick him up. I'm gone
I have
for
meetings
fun day.
tomorrow, just so you know.
You have meeting. Your meeting starts at 1. He's gonna be done before that.
All right, whatever.
He has a late drop off and early pickup. Anyway.
Whatever. We'll figure it out. All right. So anyway,
Ben's gonna send an Uber to pick him up.
Oh my God. He's literally, he's like, yeah, I'm going to send an Uber team for you. You guys are old enough. I'm like, no.
I can't wait till he starts driving. And
Yeah, that we can't
we
wait.
We were gonna pass down the Lexus to him, but that car's dead. So
What's wrong with it?
Huh?
The AC?
Well, it drives fine. AC just,
Yeah, but
AC
you get
started
that
to go
fixed.
since last
No.
year.
we spent some money on it. Right?
So we spent like several $1,000s last year. So it had other issues.
Okay.
It was like first time in like 12 years. So we're like, okay, it's about time
Yeah.
we spent some money and fixed the car, right? And then last summer we noticed AC was going in and out. It was like sometimes on, sometimes not.
Yeah, compressor.
And then so he changed the
They did change the compressor.
Yeah.
And they
things,
changed,
whatever.
They flushed all the
So this year,
coolant.
AC was just completely dead. So we changed the compressor, like whatever. The guy changed all the stuff like
Finds a leak,
outside.
yeah.
But he said it's internal. He's gonna come in and open the whole inside from like inside the car thing.
What
So
the
he
hell?
said, he said it's not
I was
worth
like,
it.
it's worth more than what the car is. The repairs cost.
Yeah.
It's worth more than the car.
Because we
was
put
like,
in
forget it.
almost what 2,000 this
Yeah, like-
year. So we're like, okay.
No more.
Yeah. At that point, you just like,
No, listen. I
Bleeding
listen.
money.
8 years without a car payment, man.
Dang.
pretty
that's
amazing.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
great.
8 years
Yeah.
without a car payment. So I was like, you know what? We got our mileage out of it. We're good.
Yeah.
We're okay, right?
Our Pathfinder has like 180,000 miles.
Wow. Is this
Wow.
do you guys still drive it?
I do. Yeah.
I don't.
You have to drive it here and there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not driving that hoopty.
Because our Lexus last year, we haven't driven it for like a while. It was parked, and then we started to start it. The starter wouldn't work, right?
Yeah.
The batteries
when
are
when
bad.
cars sit, that's a bad thing. You should always at least
Yeah,
turn
drive
it
it
on
here and there.
once or
Yep.
twice a week.
Yep.
Yeah, if you drive it even better. But I probably use it like once a week, right?
Less than that.
At least, start it and get the engine going. Yep.
Yeah. But then, so we got that, and then Karis had jury duty last week. We didn't get to hear the full story about how she got out, right?
I told you, severe financial hardship. I didn't know it was a thing, but
Yeah.
So
If you're
they
a
give
business
you,
owner.
they give you all the excuses that you could reason with them because they're like, if you own your business, like
Mhm.
entrepreneurs, like if no one's gonna pay you while you're because it was 14-day trial. That's why.
Hell no.
Yep. They're like, it's a long trial. You're gonna be here like 3 times a week for like the whole month. And so he's like, these are the reasons, if you're away on a vacation, financial hardship. So everyone like lined
Everyone's
up. and-
booking their vacations right on the spot. Hey, I'm on a vacation. I can't do jury duty.
So
Did they ask for proof that you own a business or no?
No, so like about 20, 30 people lined up and then they all went up. He's like, okay. They checked all the names and then we waited for another hour. They called a whole bunch of names and they brought them down. So, and then we're waiting like about another hour or so. They're like, okay, good news, bad news. Bad news, you don't get to do the trial. Good news, you could go home. We'll see you in 3 years or something. Okay.
People like,
Hey, man.
I was so ready
Some people
to
wanna
do my
do
civil
jury-
duties.
So there are like people that work in corporate that gets paid
Yeah,
even though they
of
come to
course.
so they're like they're happy they're like I want to do this
Yeah, or teachers. Like
Yeah,
any
yeah.
city job
Yep.
will let you.
Yep.
Well, speaking of teachers, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. This is a great segue to our guest today. She was a teacher for 14 years before she went into the world of photography.
Who told you that?
Oh, I didn't know
Oh
that.
man, I
ChatGPT?
did all kinds of research for this interview. Okay, so in any case, are you guys ready to get this podcast started?
We
Yeah, let's
are.
do
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the Focus AF podcast, guys. My name is Ben. Forgot how to do this.
Oh yeah. I'm just watching
Welcome
you like this is your life. This is Karis.
This is Jen.
And this is Ro.
And we are I'm not focused AF.
I am.
I'm tired AF.
Yeah.
I had 2 shots of espresso at like 11 p.m. last night.
Oh my gosh.
At Moses' house.
You
And I was like, I'll be fine.
Ah,
3:30 in the morning, I'm staring at the ceiling.
oh my goodness.
I'm just like, why did I do that? But I'm fine. I got like, what, 5 hours of sleep?
I guess.
Yeah, that's fine.
Moses
That's,
is making this like fancy coffee, right?
He
Is
made
that what you had?
affogatos. Yeah.
Never had
I
it. It
wanna
looks
try
good.
it.
Yeah, it looks
It
really
was
good.
delicious.
He's making it at midnight? What's
We
wrong
got
with
so
you?
like he invited us. Like
We got there like 9 o'clock.
Yeah, we knew we were gonna go over there for dessert, so we had dinner at home, and we're like, all right, let's go over there. And the earliest we can make it was not like 9
9.
p.m. Yeah, so it wasn't his fault that we got there that late. But he also wanted me to try a cortado, which he made. So I had that, and then I had the dessert. So it was like a double shot combined. And I was like, I'll be fine. And the longer I waited to go to sleep, the more the caffeine was kicking in.
Mhm.
And I had a hard time going to sleep last night. But
I mean, for what it's worth, you are in your 40s now, so
Yeah.
you need a little less sleep.
but
Well,
the
you probably had to
dessert
go-
was delicious
Yeah.
though. So
And at
shout out to
you
Moses.
said 3 a.m., right? You said 3 a.m.?
I went to bed like about 3:30 maybe.
You
Yeah.
probably had to use the bathroom at 3 o'clock in the morning, too.
No.
Well,
It was just
coming.
me.
It's coming.
It was just me staring around, looking at the room, like I need to go to sleep.
Oh Lord.
So shout out to Moses.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're gonna next coffee party at his house then.
Mhm.
Yep.
So anyway, did you have an intro? I have an intro.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, you
Let's
tell
do
me
it.
if this is good or not.
I love
okay?
that you print these
I
out
know, I
too.
was like, what
He's
is
such
this?
an old man.
Hey guys, all right, all right. So our guest today is the founder and creative force behind Italia Photography, established in 2012, based in Central New Jersey. She's a former high school teacher with 14 years of education, and she launched her studio after a transformative personal experience. Is that right? She's traveled across 39 countries, and what began as a wedding and portrait photography studio evolved into a full service offering weddings, engagements, families, boudoir, headshots, and newborn sessions. All right, her aesthetic, romantic, bright, timeless, embraces real moments with a luxurious feel. Team under Alex is trained to deliver polished heirloom imagery and handle everything from timeline planning to on-site support. Esteemed for exceptional service, Italia has consistently won Couples Choice Award. I got a couple of those too. Couples Choice Awards, and maintains a perfect 5-star
It's
rating.
like, this is like groomsman's speech or something. What is going on?
And then also she launched her photography education and business coaching part of her business during COVID to help hobbyists and professionals grow, offering one-on-one coaching, workshops, and masterminds. She started her boudoir business, I think, during COVID, and now she also offers a luxury boudoir experience. So, without further ado, I want to welcome
All right. That was
Alex
great. That was a great intro.
Thank you.
to the
What an
podcast.
intro.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I need a copy of that so I can, use some of that copywriting. Get free copywriting. Be a guest on the podcast and get free copywriting.
That chat GPT.
Was that accurate?
Yeah,
I did switch it
sounds
up a little
great.
bit, guys. I didn't copy
Okay.
and paste. Come on, guys.
I'm curious. Were some of those words like, are they in the copy in your website? I don't
Some
know.
of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yep. And
Sure.
ChatGPT has also picked up some of my
Yeah.
language. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
And got your
Our
full life experience.
last week's episode, we had Joshua Duane on the episode, and we did the same thing, but it gave us his wife's name. It gave us a wrong name for his wife.
That was like,
Who the fuck is Tiffany?
Yeah. So
Oh, that's funny.
ChatGPT was almost correct.
That's so funny.
And then Jen went to back. I was like, "Hey, Jen went to ask ChatGPT, yo, who's Tiffany?" It's like, "Oh, I messed up." ChatGPT was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I messed
I
up."
apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize. On more research, there is no Tiffany. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, cool."
That is hilarious. Oh my gosh.
But hey, I'm glad I got yours accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There was no
Thank you for
mistakes
that
this time.
intro.
Well, some of this stuff I knew already as well, so I needed to fact check it a little bit too. All
Yeah.
good. So, what were you teaching before
Yeah.
photography? What were you teaching?
I didn't know this.
You didn't know I was a
Yeah.
teacher? Yeah. So I was a high school teacher.
Mm.
Yep. I did not mean to become a high school teacher. It just kind of happened. And I ended up teaching for 14 years,
Wow.
Spanish and French.
Wow.
Yes.
Did
Wanna hear
not
my
know
Spanish?
I
that.
was a little-
No, we don't.
All right, the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk in Spanish only.
Did you go to college studying those two
What is
languages?
happening right now?
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
majored
fall.
in French. I didn't go to college to major in French, but I ended up majoring in French. I was a business major, international business, hated it. And then I ended up I majored in French lit, minored in Spanish lit, and yeah, it just kind of happened where I ended up teaching 1 year, after another, and added up to 14 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Wow.
You don't know how
for
far you
14
traveled
years.
until you look
Yep.
back and like,
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a similar journey as well. I didn't go to college intending to study German, but French is a lot more useful than German. And I was studying international business as well. And they're like, you're almost done with this German degree. Just finish it. And I was like, okay. German. But I never taught German. You don't want me to teach German either.
Well, you do get very excited whenever you could speak it. So 2 weeks ago, I was shooting wedding with him, and funny, there was two other guests, like sister of the groom and one of the friend at the wedding. Actually, like they took German too. There were three of them so excited that they were able to speak German to each other. It was the most funny thing.
The 3 words that I remembered how to speak.
Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
Dankeschön.
Yeah. So how did you get your first gig? How did you fall into photography?
My first gig was just I photographed the son of one of my teacher friends at the school. So I had done a little bit of photography just like during I used to travel a lot back then. So I just got into travel photography, and then I came home and I'm like, oh well, there's nothing like, I mean, I'm not saying New Jersey's not beautiful, but in my area, you can only take so many photos of the beach, you know what I mean? So travel photography just wasn't really, something I could practice during the school year when I wasn't traveling. So I just started doing portraits of children, my friends' children. That's how I got into it. And one thing led to another. Started doing engagement sessions. Started charging $60 for a session.
Ooh, you
Big
get one
dollars.
Moses Cruise for that. I think we finally found one who.
Well, that's for an engagement.
Oh,
You
that's
charge
Yeah,
that.
not a
we didn't know
wedding.
how much
Yeah.
you charged for your first wedding.
I did my first wedding for free, and
Oh.
they gifted me a $100 gift certificate to Banana Republic.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
And then the first one that I charged for was $500.
Okay.
All right, so
So.
you went from 2 Moses Cruises to about 8.
And I brought my husband as a second shooter.
Yep.
So they got him for free.
Was
like
he-
all of us.
Was he a willing participant?
Oh, yeah.
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 he was a willing- I had an unwilling participant when we first started. She's like, "Why am I even here?" Like it was the same thing.
To this
Why am I
day.
here?
Tuesday.
So
Same.
Yeah, pretty much.
But how did you go
Begin-
from
beginning to now.
engagements into weddings?
After I started doing portrait sessions, I quickly started a blog. I started a blog pretty early on, like 2011, the year before I started the LLC. So I just started blogging all my sessions and sharing them on Facebook. And more and more people, whoever was featured on the blog would share the link.
Yep.
And that's how somebody ended up finding my stuff. They had a very small budget for the wedding, and ended up getting it was like a friend of a friend of a friend, you know how it is. And that's how, I got into it. It was just, somebody she didn't know I didn't have any wedding experience. And then when I did tell her, she didn't care
Yeah.
because she didn't have a big budget
Yeah.
for the wedding. So
Here's
she's
your
like,
Banana
I'll take what I
Republic
can
gift
get.
card.
Yeah.
I used to work at Banana Republic.
No way.
You can get get something nice. You want to hear a Banana Republic story?
Sure.
It's the statute of limitations have already expired. It was over 20 years ago, right? But I used to work there, and the stuff's a little overpriced. And I had like a 50% discount, employee discount. So, but anything that's on clearance, I get 30% off, right? Off the clearance price. Anyway, there was like this. I got so many things. I got a suede jacket. I had like this cashmere sweater that I really, really loved. And around June or July, I go in the back and I was like, "Oh, guys, look what I found! It's this cashmere sweater. Oh my God, it's my size too, right?" And I think I got it for like $20 or something.
Amazing story, Ben Lau. Back to Alex.
And now he wears it at weddings.
Let's
We'll
go
cut it
back
out.
to the blogging.
Yes.
Right. I don't think our listeners know how much SEO juice is in this room right now. and what I'll say is, before I met the two of you, Ben and Alex, every time we booked a wedding at a new location that we never shot at, I would always put it in Google, and both of your names were always ranking like number 1, number 2, and I'm like, who are these people? And I was like, no matter what venue I put in, they're always at the top. So it's funny you said you've been blogging for so long, and it's one of those things that you just gotta keep at it.
Yep.
You just got to produce content.
Like mileage.
The blog for me was like a happy accident. I had no idea how powerful the blog would become and how important it would become, you know, in our business. Yeah, I started just blogging all the sessions and I really didn't know how to blog. And I don't know if you guys remember a long time ago, Fusa Rice. She had a
From Jersey.
Fusa Rice.
Yeah.
She was a photographer from New Jersey. She had like a wedding blog and she was also teaching about SEO. And she was trying to sell this course. Remember, it was $200. And she was going to teach, you know, the essentials of blogging and how to optimize blog posts to come up in Google search results. And I remember seeing that, and it was probably in the Better Together group or something. She was promoting it.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Yeah, it was long. It was 2000. It was the winter of 2011. And I was just starting my business. I started in January of 2012. So right around that time. And I was already blogging, but I didn't know what I was doing, you know? Yeah. So I was like, I want to do better at this. You know, I want to come up in Google. And so I took that course. But I remember I told my husband, hey, I'm going to spend these $200 on this blogging course. And he was like, you don't even know what that is. He's always the one who's telling me, like, do your research, read the reviews, you know? And he was like,
you said he's Korean, right?
Checks out. And he's like, you know, $200, I don't know, you know, make sure it's a good investment. So I ended up, you know, buying the course, and it was the best decision I could have made back then.
$200, right?
Yeah, $200. I learned to blog.
Literally, no, that'd be like the smallest thing you would spend on your business.
Yeah.
Well, now, right?
Then comes gear and everything else.
And in the beginning, you're very skeptical of every expense.
Yeah, and he was very skeptical. But it paid off. I was a religious blogger for a long time. Every session, every wedding, you know, tips for brides. I was blogging multiple times a week.
Oh my God.
This is before AI, before ChatGPT. She was writing everything from her noggin right up here. All right. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And you didn't pay a copywriter. You did everything yourself.
I would do everything myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was fun. You know, I mean,
Right.
Listen, back then I wasn't even, we were about to be married. 2012, we got married. But, you know, we didn't have like a ton of stuff going on. It's not like I had a ton of weddings back then.
Yeah.
So I
Like
wasn't super
when
busy.
you used to
all the
do
extra
dad
time.
blogs, you know?
Yeah.
For fun.
Yeah, it was like a hobby.
Photos for fun, you know?
And I liked showing off my work. Like I liked posting the stuff and getting the recognition, like posting it on Facebook and getting likes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually cared about it back then.
This was all pre-Instagram. That's the only way you could promote, really.
Yeah.
And like that was the golden days of Facebook, where, like you said, you post a blog, tag all the clients, and like it just does its thing.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And they loved being featured.
Yeah.
It was like a win-win. So
That's true.
yeah, I would always promote them. Now, I mean, I don't blog everything. I just blog some things. And when I do blog, I don't even share it anymore. Like it's really just there for the SEO.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah, before you would share it everywhere. Facebook, like.
But now, even if we do share it, like no one really takes the
really
extra
cares.
step to like get there anymore, because they'll
Yeah.
just go on your Instagram and see it and like not have to keep clicking through or something else. But
Do you think people are still looking at blogs?
Yes.
So much complicated. But
Yes.
people are definitely visiting the website.
I think-
And blog.
I still look at
I
blogs
think,
when I'm
yep.
I don't
searching
think
for
they
something.
read them,
Yeah.
but they look at the
The
photos.
images,
They definitely
yeah.
check it
Our
out.
blog
Yep.
still gets a lot of hits. We get a lot of inquiries from, you know, search engines.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, when I ask on the contact form, how did you hear about us? I still got, you know, search engine a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
A lot of
Especially when they're looking at venues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of conversions do happen on the website. You know, maybe not on a specific blog per se, but even on your landing page or your home page and stuff, there's a lot of conversion activity going on there.
Google search.
The 3 bookings I got last week, 2 of them said that it was the copywriting that was on the landing page that like all right, we need to reach out to this guy. Not just pretty pictures, because the thing is, and I think Alex probably agree with this too, you know, pretty pictures you can get anywhere. Just you throw a stone out there, you'll find a pretty a photographer can take pretty pictures. Clients these days are looking for connection, you know. So it's going to come down to your presentation when you're meeting with them, the words that you're putting out in front of them. You know, it's the whole package. It's not just the pretty pictures.
I feel like with blogs too, it's like now with Instagram, it's easier to get fooled when you're searching something. People are tagging like 10 venues. So like, it's kind of annoying. For me, when I search for a blog, it's more legit. Like if I'm searching a specific venue, someone's not gonna slip in a different venue.
Actually, there was some tea that happened recently in South Jersey. Of course, it always happens in South Jersey, right? So there's this, they'll remain nameless, right? But there's a photo video company wrote a blog post about, hey, these are the 10 most popular photographers down here in South Jersey, but they don't work for this studio, right? It's just that when you Google these photographers,
Photographer names.
and you end up on their website. So
Yeah.
is it like kind of in the gray area? It's kind of shiesty. Is it illegal? It's not illegal, but ethically speaking, and like it's kind of underhanded because you're trying to get the Google juice for when people search for that name. Can you imagine someone looks up JR Photo and they end up somewhere else?
Yeah, but at that point, like, are you really losing a client? Like maybe one, like, you know what I mean? Like, what are the chances that someone's looking for you specifically? They find this person's page and say, you know what, I want them instead. Like, I don't
might
think that's happening as often, but
This is a little
Well, the thing
underhanded.
though is that then you're distracted. Then you go down the rabbit hole of, your intention was to read more about Jenn Ro,
And
but
then you
now
found-
you got
yeah,
led to
yeah.
this page, and now you're not going
guess.
to go back in Jenn Ro because then
yeah.
now
You
you're
see all
reading
the-
something else. You go
Exactly.
down the rabbit
Mhm.
hole of his blog or their blog, and they're
Mhm.
going through that. So it does affect
Yeah.
you, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no royalty to you at this point. They're
There's no
just
loyalty. They don't
searching,
know you
right?
yet.
And
There's
then
no
they see all
loyalty to
these
you.
other stuff.
Also,
They're
the
like,
the knot's been doing that forever. Like when they added that feature of like when you're about to send a vendor a message, it'll ask you, we recommend these vendors in your area as well.
Right, but it's not a bait and switch type of deal. You click on the first link. Oh, this is Jenn Ro, but you end up somewhere else. That's where the bait and switch is
I get it.
happening.
All right.
There was an issue with ads doing the same thing. There was this company down in South
Jersey
Jersey again, right? Targeting keywords for the ads for these specific
popular.
for
Yep.
these particular photographers. So it's like, oh, first link pops up, you click on there, and now you're at this studio's name, right? For an ad, you like it's so bad, right? So, any case, what were we talking about? We were talking about blogs,
Yeah.
right? Talking to blogs, keywords. I don't know what we were.
Do people still read blogs?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it
Still-
was.
yeah,
People still
that's-
read blogs.
People still read blogs, and not necessarily like the actual individual blog posts, like client work,
Yeah.
but just whatever content you put out there. I think people will read, especially if they believe it's going to serve them well. It's a resource for them. They'll read it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just also about casting a wider net, not putting all your eggs in one basket,
Mhm.
and just let people find you. Just have different avenues for
Yeah.
people to land on your page.
Mhm.
1,000%.
So by optimizing for all these New Jersey venues or different parks in New Jersey or even different cathedrals, like I have this blog post about beautiful cathedrals to get married at in New Jersey and New York area, that brings in a lot of traffic from people who are specifically getting married in churches who want somebody who's shot there before.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So it's just about that, casting that wide net and creating those different paths to get to you. And then once you get them on your site, then they start clicking here, they start clicking there, and that's what you want, right?
Mhm.
1,000%.
And when you were blogging, when you said you started your business in 2012,
Yes.
when did you leave teaching?
2016. So
So
for
you're
4
doing-
years, I was
Doing both
balancing
for a while.
both, juggling,
Mhm.
juggling both. Yeah, it was craziness. Just kind of dedicating nights and weekend. I would try to get all my work for school done at school. So I would get there super early, get grading done in the morning so that when that, bell rang and we were allowed to leave at 2:15, I was out.
Mhm.
So I tried to not have to stay after school or bring work home.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I would work through my lunch. I would work through obviously my prep period.
Mhm.
Sometimes, I would grade if they were taking a test or they were self-directed, the students, then I would be at my desk grading. I would just try to get everything done at school so that my after school time and
Yeah.
weekends was fully for the business.
At what point did you start growing your family? What year was that?
So Olivia was born in 2019. So I
3
had
years.
a couple years, yeah, where
She was a COVID baby, huh?
right
Oh, right
before.
before.
She turned
Yeah.
1 in 2020. She turned 1 the month before COVID
COVID.
happened.
shut
Yeah,
down?
because her birthday's in
Oh, man.
February. And then we had her big birthday party, whatever,
And then shut
40,
down.
50 guests, and then everything shut
It's
down.
a super
Yep.
spreader
But she got
event.
to have her, yeah, I know.
All right, guys, give me your phones. We're gonna put it in these cases. We don't want any pictures of this event.
What was your give us a journey from 2012 to 2016? Like
2012 to 2016.
what was the amount of
Mhm.
work per year before you decided like, oh, I'm done. I gotta
Mhm.
leave.
Yeah, so we were very lucky. 2012 was the year that I already had about half a dozen weddings on the books for 2012. So that's why during the winter I was like, well, I think I need to start an LLC.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid somebody sues me. I don't want them taking my home.
Mm.
So January 2012 started the LLC. I had already a few, like I said, like a half a dozen weddings booked, but then that winter we booked more. So that first year we ended up shooting a half a dozen weddings. Actually, I think we shot 15 that year. And then that was the year that I started SEO. And between starting SEO with the blogging and optimizing the website and shooting those first 15-ish, weddings, we were able to the next year build it up to 33 weddings.
Wow.
So we more than
Doubled,
doubled
yeah.
Mhm.
the
Awesome.
number of weddings. So it happened really fast. Everybody loved. I used to shoot with my husband back then. We were a husband and wife team, and
Mhm.
everybody just loves those
Yeah.
husband and wife
Mhm.
teams,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
as you know.
It's an
So we
advantage.
would, it was just so easy to book
Mm.
people.
Yeah.
We'd invite them to our home,
Mhm.
and there was just that element of trust because we were inviting them to our house. It
Mhm.
was the two of us. They knew we weren't going to try to disappear or get away with anything
Mhm,
because
mhm.
they knew where we lived,
Yeah.
So
Pretty
Hunt you
much.
it
down.
was very easy to
You can
gain their
find me.
trust.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we were booking like crazy. And my husband's he just retired, but he's a college professor. So he was balancing both. But I always ran the business, and he would second shoot for me, and he would do the consults with me.
Yeah.
His job was to connect with the grooms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go talk
That's
sports.
my
They walked
job.
in with like a
Yeah.
baseball hat. All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Like he would just, with the bride, I'd chat about the wedding stuff, and he would connect with the groom, and then they would book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That
Easy
was-
peasy.
That's every husband's like point of attack, like finding a common ground and then just trying to attack that
Yeah.
common ground.
Mhm.
Yeah, those
Because
are the good
usually
old
the
days.
groom doesn't really have much to say, right?
Right,
So
right,
you
yep.
want to
The
involve
groom
them.
just wants to make her happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
100%.
what do they always say? I just want whatever she wants or
Yeah.
whatever. Or like I don't know the difference between this photo and that photo. That's what they
Mhm.
always say. But if you can connect with them, then you have their trust, and that person will be like, all right, yeah, they're cool.
Yeah.
We should book them.
Yeah.
So that's always a good way to try to get
We
the
used
booking.
to tag team the consults too. I think after 1 year, she was like, "All right, I don't need to be here." So,
Why
She's
am
like,
I here?
I don't talk anyway, so
she
And
talked
then
to-
engagement too.
yeah, she used to come out for engagements too for the first year,
First few years.
and then she's like, "I'm done. You can
why
you
am
do
I?
this
Why
yourself.
am I there? I was like, why am I at engagement?
Just stay home. It's better if you stay home. Just stay home."
Same thing with my husband. He would come that whole year, 2020, 2012, 13, 14. I mean, I think he stopped coming to engagements maybe like 2016 once I went full time. So for several years, but we thought it was fun back then,
Yeah.
It didn't feel like work. It was this like side hustle, and we liked, we liked spending time with we would go out to dinner
Dinner
afterwards.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
was
what we
gonna
do.
say, yeah, we
Yeah.
always go out to dinner. After
You're not
the
making
shoot.
any money from the smoking.
That's what I keep telling Jen. I was like, let's get something quick. We're losing money here.
Yeah.
So you're inviting people into your home for the consults and stuff like that.
Yeah, we did that for several years. And then, our business kept growing. I was still shooting some portraits, but, I kept hearing like you really, to build a business, you really need to niche down. So I started to, really believe that. And I started really to cut down and just to do weddings. I wouldn't promote portraits at all. I would do them for past couples, referrals, people I had photographed in the past. But I really tried to just focus on weddings. And then by the 2015-ish, I never thought to leave teaching. Teachers, back then, like you thought if you're a teacher forever. I thought I
Yeah.
would be there forever. And in 2015, about a year before I left, we started to think, maybe it was my husband's idea, actually. He was one who kind of planted the seed. would you ever think about leaving teaching? And I was like, that's crazy.
Mm.
Like, how could I leave teaching? I'll be a teacher forever, and then finally I started just kind of, it just kept this idea kept popping into
Mm-mm.
my mind. And could I really do this? And then, looking at the income, it would be so easy to make up just where we were at the time. I
Mm.
thought it would be very easy to make up the income. Of course, I was still a little bit nervous about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I just gained a lot of confidence just from seeing what was on the calendar already for the
Mm.
following year. So that last year, we just really focused on building up savings, just like to have a safety net. And then I think I made the decision to leave that September. So that whole school year was very difficult for me
Mm.
because I already knew I was leaving. And this
Yep.
was the last time I was doing
You
this.
checked
And
out
this is the
already.
last time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of checking out.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was so distracted with the business, and it was a disservice to I mean, I was still doing my job, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but I wasn't excited about,
Right.
I was just kind of using lessons from previous years and maybe changing up a thing or two, but I wasn't coming up with anything
Mm.
original. I wasn't spending time on that anymore.
Yeah.
My focus was definitely on the
Yep.
business.
Yep.
So,
Were
yeah.
Were you ever in the classroom and had a kid giving you trouble, and you're like thinking in your head, "Fuck this kid. This is why I'm leaving. This is why I'm leaving here."
You're the reason why I'm leaving.
It's funny because now I have photographs of my past students, and they'll ask me, "Did you leave because of me?"
Oh.
More than once.
You know
they've
what I
asked me.
did?
You didn't wait till now you're
I'm
doing
like,
their
no,
weddings.
no.
You photographed your students' weddings?
I have
Oh,
multiple
that's
times.
awesome.
Yeah, so
Wow.
they continued a lot of my really close my kids from, so I used to be the advisor for student council, Spanish club. So those students that I was really close
Mm.
with, they followed my journey and they followed me
Aw.
on
That's
Instagram
amazing.
and they were interested in all
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I photographed a handful. Like I don't know how many off the top of my head, but definitely like a handful. And then I mean I just did the newborn session last year for a client who I photographed their wedding in, I don't know, 2023 maybe. They live in the city now. They came all the way to my studio in Point Pleasant to do the maternity. They came again to do the newborn. And
Wow.
then just a few months ago, they came to do baby's first birthday.
Aw.
So 3 trips from Manhattan, to bring me
They're
their
loyal.
baby. Yeah, really
Yeah.
loyal. It was, oh my God, it's been wonderful. So, so yeah, and that's past student of mine. So
Nice.
yeah, it
Wow.
doesn't happen, maybe a couple times a year.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
something that happens all the time, but
Right.
our paths do cross.
So when they hire you, do they call you? Are they on a first name basis with
Oh
you, or
no,
they call you?
yeah. I tell them to call me Alex. I have a very hard time with it though. Some of them still know me as like with my maiden name because they're from back then.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have
It's
a
just
really
by
hard time
habit they
with
call
it.
you by your
So
by your teacher name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my old teachers from high school also, she hired me for her son, and I had a hard time calling her mom or whatever it is. She's
That
always
wedding
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in Maryland. I mean, oh,
this
no.
was not in Poconos.
Poconos.
I
Yep.
thought you told me
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
it.
so
Yeah.
they hired me to shoot her son's wedding. I was like,
Yeah.
what? I'm old enough to shoot your son's wedding? But
That's funny.
but yeah, I had a hard
Yeah.
time. I had a hard time calling her by her first name. Yeah. All right. So while we're on the teaching topic, right? So you did go into educate. I don't know if you're still in it. Are you still doing the mentoring and the coaching and the?
I do offer it, but I don't promote it.
Mhm.
So it really just kind of happens organically through conversations on Instagram. And, I'll get into conversations. And then certain photographers will be like, hey, I really want to talk to you more about this topic. Can I book a coaching call? So when I left teaching in 2016, I felt like I had all the time in the world now. I felt like by getting rid of all the teaching and I was just
Yeah,
going to be a
right.
photographer, I had more time to do all these things. And so that's when I started the website and I thought, I'm going to start promoting like coaching photographers and also, I loved teaching. So I still wanted to teach in some way. I just didn't want to teach high school kids, and I wanted to teach definitely more about like the business side and help photographers who are just starting out. I did think that I wanted to go that route back then. The business just got so busy in the last few years that it was put on the back burner. The website's still out there,
Mhm.
but I don't promote it.
Right.
I've had maybe like full day coaching clients, a few full day coaching clients during the winter. I do it during the winter, here and there. But again, it's not something that I promote. They just find me randomly with SEO. They'll
Right.
Google.
Exactly.
Yep.
So what have you found in the teaching method that you've used in the classroom that kind of transferred over to coaching creatives? Because it's a different audience now, right? So what are some of the things that you did in the classroom that worked or didn't work with teaching creatives?
hmm I think helping people be more introspective and coming up with their own plan. I think, in teaching high school students, at that time when I was teaching, we were always coming up with alternate ways to assess. Um, there was a lot of talk about common assessments or individualized assessments. And with that, just, when you kind of transfer that to photography, I think it's just become natural to help for me, it becomes natural to help photographers just kind of look at their own. Everybody's always comparing to other businesses and what other people do. And,
Yeah.
but if you look at your own path and what are your own strengths and your own weaknesses, your own, how do you come up with your own brand? I had somebody copy my website not too long ago.
Mm.
And after she did a coaching call with me, and she
Shut up.
said, "Oh, I thought that's what I was supposed to do, was do what you're doing."
Oh no.
I said, "No, no, no, no.
No.
That's
Let's
not how it
let's go back
works."
to square one.
So I helped her see all of her unique strengths and how she could bring those unique strengths to her business. Like, you can do all that. I can't do that. I can't offer that
Mm.
because that's not me. But look at what you can do. That's what you need to highlight, right? So I think that's definitely transferred over, just helping people see like what their own unique strengths are, and then studying their weaknesses and seeing where they can improve, and coming up with, kind of like just like a map, of different steps that they can take, right, to form their own path and get better, but in their own way, not copying somebody else's
That's crazy.
system 100%.
We've seen this before.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like it's common
Yeah.
in the when you're trying to educate and show them, like you said, a path. They think that your path is the way, right? And they just do that. But it's just so weird.
It's insincere. Like I straight up copy and pasted the About Me page. Was like, yeah, so and so, I was born in Brooklyn and I was like, yo, that's my bio. That's not your bio. That's what are you doing?
I remember Sam Hurd said that he put his bio, he copied and pasted it in Google, and like 10 websites had the
Oh
same.
my
Oh,
God.
really?
Yeah, when Sam Hurd he has a big
Yeah,
audience, so
yeah.
I could definitely see that on a larger scale,
Yeah.
like happening. But like, really,
Crazy.
like, how are you gonna steal
Yeah.
his
Somebody's
bio?
bio. Your own bio.
You guys got more questions? I have a lot.
You're
so.
so funny with your paper. Oh my God.
Why? What's wrong with paper? Paper is
Like,
vintage.
Looks like
what is
like
this?
you have
What is
MapQuest
this?
directions.
What is this?
So when you went full time, was it just weddings?
At the time, I was doing, mostly weddings. Was I doing anything else? I think on my website, I might always have had some sort of like portrait. You know what? I used to do a lot of newborns. I had a separate URL at the time, now remembering. I had a Dahlia Photography newborns.com. So I was back then, I was still doing weddings and newborns. I had this little studio downstairs in my house, and I was doing like lifestyle in the home, but then also in my studio. And that I had that little studio until COVID. Then after COVID, I'm like, I don't want to bring people into my home,
Yeah.
And then my daughter was also around by then. I
Mhm.
wasn't, didn't want, clients to just, because they all had, a lot of them would bring their babies with the older sibling, touching all my daughter's toys. And then I had to disinfect both for the client and also for my daughter. So it became too much. But yeah, so I did it with newborns, weddings and newborns for a long time, portraits, but I didn't market it. And then after COVID, I took the newborn site down. I decided I didn't want to do a ton of newborns. I wanted to do more studio stuff. So more like, maternity, still newborns, but not in the same way, not posed newborns necessarily, but just studio work with a more lifestyle approach. So that was actually just last 2023 that I opened the studio. So between COVID and 2023, I wasn't doing a ton of newborns because I wasn't asking people to come to my home
No babies in
anymore.
baskets.
So I did do babies in baskets for a while. Not gonna lie, you can definitely Google and find some. But in recent years, I have moved away from that. I'm actually moving away from newborns as a whole. I do have we do have it on our website, but it's mostly for our associates to book. So I'll pull in some of those jobs. If it's one of my past clients, then I'll do it. But if it's a new client that just finds us on Google, then I'm more likely to have an associate go shoot it. So
I'm so glad that you mentioned an associates. When did the associate program come into the picture?
So in 2017 is when I started to train our first associate. So I left teaching 2016, started thinking about, we were starting to plan a family, right? And my husband was still shooting with me back then. And I just thought it was a good time for us to start training somebody for later in case like I couldn't shoot because I was pregnant or he wanted or he needed to stay home with the baby. We wanted to train because we had always shot together. I had never worked with another second shooter. So I needed to train somebody to shoot like him and think like him. So 2017, that was happening, having somebody along, shadowing. She was amazing. I basically trained her, almost from the ground up, really. So she was really able to internalize our style and our way of thinking. And that was just like a great experience with her. And I loved the teaching aspect of it. Then when I got pregnant 2018, I knew that I needed somebody to help me with all the weddings because, being pregnant and, fluffing the dress and carrying like the gear and like all these things, it was just like a lot and I was very tired. So, so we brought on assistants to all of our weddings that year. And I chose people who wanted to work with us so that I could train them and they could shadow and they could learn how I deal with clients on wedding days, how I deal with, problems that might happen on a wedding day or delays, anything like that, just so they could like see firsthand how I would deal with things so that they could be learning at the same time. And so really that's, kind of like when it first started, 2017 through like 2019, is I was still training people, they were shadowing. So here's another part I haven't talked about. So my husband used to do video. So he was doing video up until 2017. So we would do photo and video. So whenever he had a video job and I lost him as my second shooter, then we would bring one of our, they weren't associates back then, really. They were second shooters. So we would have one of them come along. So and he stopped doing video right around 2017 or 2018, something like that.
And this is happening while your husband's still full-time working.
So he shot with me for about almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, almost 10 years.
Holding two jobs.
Now, as a college professor, his semester was over in May, and then he did like mid-May, he didn't go back to school until late August, like the last week of August. And that was when my busy season was. So it kind of, balanced out because he wasn't super. Now, there were some months, obviously September, October, where we still had weddings and he was super busy. But the bulk of the weddings were definitely while he was off between May, and August.
Right.
So, but then, once my daughter was born, we started phasing him out of weddings. The 2020, he shot his last wedding with me. And I redid the whole website. I did a whole rebrand in 2019 because we were prepping for this for a while. So 2019, I did a full rebrand, took him anything, husband and wife. That said husband and wife. I took it off the website. I Googled it a million times to see where else it was popping up. Random Yelp page, like it was just in random places on profiles and stuff. So I think I found all of it and I removed it all and started just.
He never existed.
Yeah, he never existed.
We were like, what happened?
Wiped them out like Jason Bourne.
It's okay.
I know, right?
I have two follow-up questions for you. So your associates, are they exclusive to you or are these freelancers?
No, they're freelancers. They all have their studios. Most of them have their own studios. They shoot for themselves and they also shoot for other studios. So yeah, it's very different from yours. I've never, I should say until recently, I never thought of the associate brand to be big enough where I could fill their calendars.
Right.
And so was they were very happy to shoot however many weddings, half a dozen weddings for me, without the promise of a full-time, salary.
Yeah, that does take a lot of stress off your shoulders as the associate brand owner. My second question is, you know, that means these other studios, these other brands, like they get the benefit from you training these folks from the ground up, pretty much, right?
The first few people, at least.
So, in training these associates, what have you found to be the most challenging when trying to teach them your artistic eye or your emotional presence? Like, because that's kind of hard trying to deliver the Italia experience, right? Like, no one can be you. So, have you found that to be challenging to kind of transfer that to some folks? Maybe they're no longer with you guys, you know?
I mean, the hard part is actually feeling like I don't want to hurt their feelings. That was always difficult for me. Like I have to figure out how to say this without hurting their feelings. So I've had the huge benefit of having my husband. We share an office. He sits right next to me, and he loves to tear my work apart. And
It's the Korean
because
part.
of
It's the Korean side of him. It's the Korean.
So I truly believe I have become a better photographer because of all of his, helpful critiques.
Can't help himself.
And he's also the editor. So
He sees it.
yeah, so he sees it. And, I always felt bad having my husband slave over editing a set of photos in like a poorly lit church because I chose the wrong settings or, I made the wrong decision or something. So, that's always really, obviously I want to make I've always wanted to make better images for my clients, but I also want to make sure that the back end is going to go smoothly. And the better the photo is straight out of camera, obviously, the less time you're going to spend on the
Right.
back end.
Right.
Can you
So-
repeat that?
I was
Can you
waiting.
repeat that?
The more she was talking, I was like, "Fuck, it's coming."
Focus AF therapy, couples therapy.
It is
I
true.
I tried a little harder now. I do. I tried a little harder now.
And then sometimes when I'm editing, why is it taking you so long? Well, my files are easier to edit, That's just the nature of it, right?
Whatever.
But yeah, sorry for cutting you off there.
She's in the church. She's at ISO 75. Shutter speed 1/8,000. F22, which is a little dark.
Whatever. Continue, Alex.
Yeah. So basically, where was I saying here?
A workflow easier.
Yeah,
the
the
back end.
better your images
The better
were, the
easier.
easier it is for you. The easier it was for your husband to get these edits out as well.
Right. And so going back to the associate team, because I found a lot of value in having someone critique my work all the time, that's what helped me just, do it for them too,
Mhm.
So even though I felt bad about being, so just kind of, giving them so much feedback all the time. I always used to, I would always say like, okay, this is worth it. This is going to be worth it. Like it's really for them. And in the long run, obviously it's for us, for the studio, for the brand, for the clients, I started just doing Loom videos. So that's been helpful. But, most helpful has been the fact that most of my associates have worked with me a ton before I have sent them out. There's only been one who he was already so experienced that I didn't have him second shoot a ton for me before I sent him out on his first job. But for the most part, the rest of them, they either started as assistants. Most of them actually started as assistants, or they were second shooting for me when my husband was doing video, and then they continued to second shoot after I phased my husband out of shooting. So they were able to see firsthand, how I do things, what's important, what's not important. And there's, that's been super helpful to them for learning. Obviously like making Loom videos and, making the art of making Loom videos. It not only does it have to be on the shorter side, because listen, nobody has time and they're not getting paid extra to watch these Loom videos. So I redo the Loom video a lot of times, just because I think it's too long and I don't want to take too much of their time. Like I don't want to go over 10 minutes. Because I feel like 10 minutes is reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine are about 10 to
and
15.
yeah, right. I mean, that's reasonable for them. But then you also want to make sure that you are highlighting all the positive things because they're doing an amazing job. And,
Like 2 good and 1 bad, or 3 good and 1 bad.
right. So I'll start out positive, give them an overview of like how I felt, about after reviewing the gallery. And then I'll only pick, even if there were like half a dozen things that I could mention, I will only pick, the most important ones, or the ones where I see that it's like a repetitive thing that keeps happening. If it's the first time that this happened, I might mention it, here or there, but I'm really trying to look for the patterns. Like you're always doing this. You're always cutting the feet off. Stop cutting the feet off, and I'll try to pull up different photos so that they actually see, because a lot of second shooters, they don't look at their work.
They don't.
They just, they'll back it up, and then they don't look at it.
Yep.
So I'll have a gallery where I've tagged a bunch of photos so that they can see it, and they can see those patterns. I think that's been really helpful, just like the repetition of that.
You have a written summary for them as well, for the people who don't want to watch the video?
Well, now with AI and Loom, it comes up automatically. So I have that
The
feature.
caption, you mean? Like the caption?
In the
Or
summary.
the subtitle? Oh, in the summary.
Yeah, there's a little, well, it's actually the script. I think it's a script. There's a script on the right, and then on the bottom, there's a summary. Yeah, so they get both.
Yeah.
So the key is to start with some positive reinforcement before you hit them with the.
Yep. That's the
And
key.
actually, yeah, I do the same exact thing with our associates. And I'm sure your teaching background came in very useful, because you're not going to tear a kid apart,
Right.
for something they did, that they missed or whatever, right? So you have to be very diplomatic when you're doing reviews. When we first started, we were hiring a bunch of our friends, people that we knew, to be our assistants and second shooters and things like that. So, but the thing is, at the end of the day, they're still artists. They're very sensitive. The work is very personal to them, right? So when you provide any CC, it's very close to their heart, and everything feels like a sting, So I remember this. We had an associate. She's no longer with us anymore, right? But basically, Karis used to do some of these reviews as well, and
No, I didn't do the reviews. So I would edit. I was the editor when we were a husband and wife team. So I would edit. So I would see all these photos, and that particular person, every time her photos, like 60-70% of her photos are misfocused. So
a
I
lens or
can't even
camera
use
issue,
them.
yeah.
So this was once happened, twice, 3 times. So I wrote her email, this is not even, it's like email going back and forth. Oh, this is, your photos are all missed. I can't even use it. So I got so angry at one point. I was like, even a person with a phone would take better photos. Because phone photo would be sharp. You know what I mean?
Was it the settings, or was it?
She's like an uncle could have taken a better photo
Yeah,
than
I was
this.
and then she left after that. But
But
I was
what
like,
was
and I had to come
it? Was it her settings, or was it like a gear issue?
it wasn't even
No,
gear.
it's a
She had all the
user
right
error.
gears.
Okay.
It was a user.
So
she was
like,
just
all right.
Listen,
misfocused.
it was like year 1, year 2, so it's whatever. But
Anyway.
but I had to come back behind. I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry for what my wife said. I'm sorry she hurt your
Whatever,
feelings."
sure,
And stuff. She's like, "Well, she did hurt my feelings," and blah 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 blah. I was like,
Karis is like, I do not apologize.
"Yeah, pretty much, right?" So anyway, since then, I've learned to be a little bit more diplomatic with my CC. I just like you, I try to highlight the positives. Some of my associate shooters, they think I'm a little too hard on them. I was like, guys, I do give you compliments. It's like, Ben, all you do is just
you
point
don't
out our
give us
mistakes.
any compliments. What did we do good? What did we do anything that's good?
No. I am hard on them, but it's all for their good. But
And they know that too.
Yeah, they know
But
that.
a lot of, like you
Deep
said, a
down,
lot of
deep down,
mistakes
they know
are
it.
repetitive. Yep,
A lot of
they
times-
stick to
and
the
I say
same
it,
pattern.
I say it with a smile,
Yep.
and I say it jokingly, like, what happened to this person's feet? All I see is his ankles or something, right? So I'll make a joke out of it.
Let me ask you something, because this is what my shooter responds with.
You're a shooter.
Yeah.
The person that is not here right now.
I was like, wait,
Has-
second shooter?
Has
Another second shooter?
has the bride and groom, has the couple ever came back and complained about their feet cut off or their arms cut off?
I'm more
Valid point,
concerned with the
valid point.
customer experience and not Ro's experience. I'm sorry.
I don't hear no complaint.
Oh my God.
No one said anything.
So anyway, so anytime I do, I give them the positives, and when I say it's a negative, it's more like, hey, you missed this, or this is a little off. Try to keep your lines straight, right? Stuff like that. But I always offer them if there's something that they messed up with, I always give them a solution. You know, if you don't want your photos to look like you're doing jumping jacks while you're doing the photos, right? Stop doing jumping jacks. Just hold still for a little bit and wait. Be patient. You know, each of my photographers, I love them to death. They all have strengths and they have things that, they should work on. I have one photographer, she's just constantly on the move. So you can tell,
Move and lighting. Yep.
Yeah. So
It's
she's
just
constently moving and
lighting.
stuff. So like,
Yeah.
I say, hey,
So
just
a lot
relax.
of photos are like, whoop, whoop. And I think it started with mirrorless like cameras. Like once when you're shooting and then you go putting
Oh,
it down,
yeah.
it's a lot.
Shooting all
Yeah.
over
Because you don't know if it clicked, finished
Yeah,
clicking.
yeah, yeah.
My ZF, with the soft touch button, it gets clamped on my leg.
Oh.
And it just shoots. I'll
You
have
got 100 frames of
I'll have
nothing.
like 200 photos of just the floor. I'm like,
Oh my
shit.
gosh. Yep.
Something I will say too that I think is helpful for sharing feedback is giving them the why. Not just telling them, what you want, but why you want it that way. I mean, I was having an issue with one of my photographers was filling the frame too much for family photos. So what
Problems,
would
yeah.
happen if they want to do an 8x10,
Yep.
Yeah.
which happened
Somebody's
to me
getting cut
several
off, yeah.
times.
Mhm.
I get an email, hey, I'm trying to print an 8x10 because it's a common, size, standard size.
Yeah.
And the people on the ends are getting chopped
Yeah.
off,
Mhm.
so it was like bringing that point across that we need to leave room. Imagine if they want to make an 8x10 of this photo, or if they're doing a vertical portrait, right? And the head is too close to the top and the feet are too close to the bottom. You can't do an 8x10. You can't. You're going to have to crop above the knee. You can't
Yeah.
do full
Yeah.
body. And
That's
Mother of the
true.
Bride wants to show off her whole dress. She does not want to crop at the knee. She spent months looking for that dress. She wants
And
to
she
show it
might
all
want to show
off.
off her shoes too.
Yes.
You got to show the
yes.
feet.
I don't cut off feet. I cut off hands. Never the feet.
Yeah.
A lot of our shooters cut off hands too.
Yeah, they cut off fingers and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like,
And
guys.
there's- sometimes it is what it is, right? Like sometimes it's either you miss the moment or or not, whatever. But during like times when you have control, you have to aim the camera just a little lower.
It's only started happening with
Little-
mirrorless. That's all. Because I shoot down here now.
So I want to talk about something. I guess it's a little newer in the scheme of all the things that you have your hands in, right? You got your hands in a lot of different jars at the moment, right? But I think boudoir is one of the more recent ones that you're getting
Yes.
into. Tell us about that journey.
Another happy accident. I started shooting boudoir for my brides several years ago, here and there, one or two a year, nothing major. And then 2023, I decided I want to open a studio. And that was because I wanted to start creating an income stream that did not require me to give up weekends. And my idea was to do more headshots, do maternity, lifestyle newborn in the studio, and be able to do those things during the week. That's what I tried to do all of 2023. And I realized it was so difficult to market because you have to do a lot of, especially for headshots, you have to do a lot of in-person networking and in order to build that up, and then also just not being close to, let's say, a metropolitan area like New York City,
Yeah.
I think I'm down, my studio's down in Point Pleasant. So who needs headshots down there? Mainly like realtors, small business owners.
Yeah.
These are typically not clients who are going to spend big on headshots.
Yeah.
And so then I realized, I should really try to see what boudoir would look like in the studio. And coincidentally, I had one of my couples come in to do it was like a couple, maybe just like a few weeks before the wedding. They decided that they asked me about boudoir. Am I doing boudoir in the studio? And I said yes. And that was the first one that I did. I pulled that studio together real quick. I went on Amazon. I got the bed. I got all the things. I set it up. I said I could make this happen because it was new. It was very new. So, so I set it up. I did it. I had like a $4,000 sale,
Nice.
and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do more of this.
Mm.
And I started to really brainstorm on how I could build up the boudoir studio because, with boudoir, you do it during the week. We do offer weekends now because I have an associate who strictly wants to shoot on weekends. But the rest of us, including me, like I'm not going to shoot boudoir, so last year, actually, none of our boudoir sessions were during the weekend. They were all during the week.
Nice.
And, so I started seeing that as a real income stream last April. So April 2024 is when I decided to I built a new set. I have an upstairs and a downstairs in the studio. It's a small studio. It's 1,000 square feet, 500 square feet, downstairs and then 500 upstairs. So I set up 2 shooting spaces, one on each floor, found a really good hair and makeup artist. We really nailed down like our workflow, and I started running ads and had a lot of success with ads immediately. Started booking as soon as I ran that ad in April, and then I was fully booked for the rest of the year.
Wow.
And I was shooting everything myself until about October, I think. I got burnt out from all the boudoir because it was multiple times a week. I had so many
Crazy.
bookings. And I realized, oh my goodness, like this is a thing. This is hot in New Jersey. I had no idea that boudoir was so
Yeah,
hot right
yeah.
now.
Mhm.
And not just brides, our best spenders are actually often not brides because brides are more on a budget because of the wedding.
Right. Yep.
When I get, um, ladies who have just lost 100 pounds, they're celebrating that, or they are celebrating a milestone, just
Yep.
turned 30 or
Bit
40.
older women, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Just
Or
like, yep.
a gift for the 10th wedding anniversary,
Mhm.
20th wedding anniversary, celebrating divorce. I've had a lot of that too,
That's awesome.
Um,
New profile pic.
Yeah.
It's going on their Tinder.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then in the fall is when I started thinking about, okay, can I now have my associates shoot these sessions? Because I'm trying to shoot less. And like I said, I got burnt out last summer from shooting so much. I had taken 6 weeks off of shooting weddings, and I ended up filling those weeks with boudoir.
Fun.
And I was doing like 3, 4, 5 sessions a week.
Wow.
So then I started creating new workflows. Part of the struggle that I face with boudoir is that so when I did a boudoir shoot, I first started getting interested into boudoir when I did a boudoir shoot for my husband's 10-year our 10-year wedding anniversary, and the photographer did a same day reveal for me. So it was an amazing experience. She sent me to lunch. I came back. I saw the photos. Obviously she upsold me. I wanted all of them. And
That was me.
and it was like, for me, I thought this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
I was already over 40. Am I really going to do this again in my life? I thought not. Now I think, yeah, maybe. But,
Yeah.
back then I was like, this is it, so get them all. So, so after I did that, I thought, well, I have to offer the same experience because that was amazing for me. So all those shoots, I was doing same day reveals last year. All of the shoots I was doing
Same day,
reveals.
huh?
Same day. I did the same process that my photographer did with me because I thought it was amazing. I would send them to lunch with recommendations on where to eat. They'd come back in an hour. I'd have the slideshow for them, and I'd, design the album, and we'd be done. They'd have the album within, a week. So it was wonderful. But when I thought about, having associates shoot, I didn't want them doing the same day. I wanted
Meeting, yeah.
consistency in the experience. And when I figured out how to do that with our sales team that we all use, Asset, once they accepted that, group of clients, we figured out all the details and everything. Then I thought, okay, yeah, now I can scale this.
Yeah.
Now I can do this because now really, I have a VA who is strictly a boudoir VA. So she takes care of all of the consults, all of the bookings, all the payment plans. She does everything on the scheduling, everything. And we have a really good editor. And So really now all I'm doing is overseeing the whole thing and just double check. I'm not shooting
Oh, you're not
actually.
even shooting
I'm not
it.
shooting
Oh,
boudoir
wow.
anymore. Yeah. Now the associates are doing them. The only boudoir that I'm shooting now is ones that booked last year for this year, who I booked a year ago and I
Okay.
committed to
So
the same day
they're
reveal
expecting
actually.
you.
They're
Yeah.
expecting me. Yeah. So I'm shooting those, but I only have 2 of those sessions left. And then the ones I will shoot is if one of my brides books us for boudoir and I'm shooting the wedding, then I will shoot the boudoir.
Yeah.
But other than that, our availability calendar is based on the associate's availability calendar,
Yeah.
which was a huge change. I really had to let go of a lot. But that's the only way I'm going to be able to grow this,
have to let
to
go.
keep growing
Yeah.
it
You have
is
to
by
let go.
letting go. Yeah.
So what is the process now? You're not doing the same day reveals. How long after the session are they having their reveal?
So they're on the same timeline as my engage. So I try to keep them on the same timeline as my portrait clients. So whether it's newborn, maternity, engagements, or boudoir, they're on a 3-week timeline. So we'll edit the photos within 2 weeks, and then the team will take over. They take their week to prepare the slideshow and the album design, and then they have the reveal. So 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit of a long wait. It's definitely different. And I was afraid, okay, are they still going to go for this? But we're still booking,
Yeah.
Right,
they don't
right.
mind.
It
And
leaves them in a state of like
It's
anticipation.
still a big reveal. Yeah.
Yeah, and also
Yeah.
kind of like they're taking their time with this.
Right, right,
you know,
right.
You don't
and that
rush
allows
it.
us to fully edit the photos. Because
Yeah.
when I was doing same day reveal, I always had to present the disclaimer. Listen, I only had an hour, so
Right.
they're not fully edited.
Yeah.
That bruise you have on your leg, it's still there. I'll remove it once we figure out what the final images are going to be.
Yeah.
But now our editor edits all of them perfectly. So once they see them on that call, they're ready to go. They're ready to be delivered.
They want them
They're
all.
not going to see the, their little imperfections that they
Yeah.
might be self-conscious about.
Yep.
So in that case, in that regard, it is a little bit of a better experience as far as like the photos that they get to see.
How much time are the photographers spending with these clients for the shoot? An hour, 2 hours? How long do these shoots last?
It depends on the size of the album. So if they pre-book with our smallest album, then the shoot is 1 hour. But if they pre-book with one of our bigger albums, depending on how many pages they have, then we'll let them know how many outfits to bring. So up to 90 minutes usually, but we have had 2-hour shoots. That's typically for clients who are going to have, like a 40-page album that we've pre-sold a 40-page
Bring as many
album.
outfits as you want. Don't worry about it.
Have you ever done couples boudoir?
No, that is something that we do not do. And I keep getting questions about it. I'm not saying we'll never
I'm not
do
asking
it.
for me, by the way.
But
Definitely not with me.
interestingly enough, I am starting to get a lot of inquiries.
I'm sure. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a popular.
I
Yeah, it's a
I'm
big
sure.
thing.
Yep. Yep.
But
But
also,
yeah, there seems to be a line that I keep seeing online where I feel like it's no longer boudoir. Like,
Yeah.
It's for their OF page.
Yeah.
It's like stuff that I'm seeing sometimes in groups. I'm like, this is borderline porn now. Like it's crazy what I'm.
Yeah.
You have to be very careful. with
Yeah,
it.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Even with the solo stuff that you're shooting, I mean, some of the stuff, certainly I would imagine most, if not all of them are, celebrating milestones or, celebrating something, right? But do you think some of them are using these photos for commercial reasons?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that my specific clients are. I think I attract a certain kind of client. I think our clients are typically more on the conservative side. They're very private. Most of our clients are not signing model releases. I'm always surprised
That's
when
what I
they
was
do.
gonna ask. Yeah, like because I know in that genre of photography is very hard to get clients to allow your usage, right? So how is that happening for you to have content to promote and
Yeah. So we have in our workflow, we have them, we ask them if they're willing to sign a model release and we link right to it and they can sign it if they allow us to use the photos. But I don't ask more than once. That's it. If they sign it, they sign it, and then
They
I
don't.
thank
It
them.
is what it is.
But
Yeah.
if they don't sign it, I don't ask again. And in our contract, it specifically says that we do not have the permission. The default is no. We will only use them if you
If you sign
actually
off.
sign off on it. So the default is always no. That's in the contract. We will not use, your photos. They stay private. And then after the shoot, the day of the shoot, in that follow-up email, they get the link to the model release, and it invites them very politely, if you are interested in allowing us to use the photos, here's the link. If not, no worries, totally understand. And we won't ask you again. And then that's it. So, yeah, I mean, surprisingly enough, we have gotten enough where we have a website now, and we have enough photos to have a portfolio, and we have our boudoir Instagram that we can post on. So we have enough. I would say probably maybe 2 out of every 10 clients will sign a model release,
Yeah.
which
Even
is
if-
plenty for a portfolio.
Yeah.
But even if they don't show the faces, are you allowed to show the body? So it's
Well,
not.
sometimes they'll sign the model release and say, because we have kind of different levels.
Mhm.
So one of the options that they can check off is, yes, you can use my photos, but only faceless photos. So we get a lot of those too.
And I feel like that's a big thing anyway. Like if you can at least use, in
Some
that
form.
aspect, that's you could do a lot of marketing with those images.
Just those alone, faceless
Yeah.
photos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the ad that you initially ran? Like, what was the offering that kind of lured people in? Was that
You
just
want me to tell you my secrets? Is that what you're asking? You want me to tell the whole world how I get all my
you don't
clients?
have to say the exact details, but I know you said you
No,
ran ads.
just-
Was it on
I'm just
Instagram
joking.
or Facebook? Or
So I have an issue with ads is that our Instagram is private. Our boudoir Instagram is private. And I've always felt a little funny just making it public. I just feel like on Instagram, I just didn't want random people following that account. So it's still private. And so because of that, I can't run ads on my boudoir Instagram.
Oh, okay.
So what I was doing is I was running boudoir ads on my main Adalia Photography Instagram.
Yeah.
And now I have been testing running ads through my boudoir Facebook account, because there I don't post as much. I hardly posted on there. I just have a profile photo. I have a link to the website, and it's basically just directs them to the website and directs them to the private Instagram. And then once they land on the private Instagram, I can choose to either accept or not accept their request. So I have been testing now running ads through that Facebook page. I'm still experimenting. The thought process behind that is that the Facebook crowd is older. And when I run ads through my, Instagram, I'm getting a lot of younger clients, which is great, but they're not always, going to be the big spenders, like I said.
Yeah.
So I'm testing right now to see, okay, what if I bring in more of these older women who are hanging out on Facebook? Would the numbers change? So I'm, testing things. But, in regards to the ads, I have a bunch of different offers that I kind of cycle through depending on the type of year. And then I have some evergreen ones. And then I just have conversion ads that are just kind of evergreen ads to try to just bring in, people in different creatives, things like that. So I don't necessarily always have an offer. Sometimes it's just
the ad.
Just think top of mind. You're showing up in their feed.
just to show up in people's feed. Exactly. Yeah, the last one we booked, there was no offer. She just saw that we do, because clients are looking for for boudoir photographers, but they don't necessarily they don't have a connection. It's not like weddings where a million people getting married. Hey, who was your wedding photographer? Who was your wedding? It's not like that for boudoir. You're not going to ask all the women, hey, did you do boudoir? Who did you use? It's just not as common.
Yeah.
So it's just about getting them to see a couple photos on Facebook or on Instagram, and for them to like them enough to just click on it and go to the profile and check it out.
Yeah, the thing about Meta, it's kind of creepy. They know what you're thinking, right? Even though these are not the conversations that you as a consumer you're having publicly, but Meta and Google, they know when you're looking up stuff, and they have pixels on everything, right? So they know how much money you're making, what your interests are. If you're looking up other boudoir photographers, right? They know if you're in the kind of that mindset, and they'll start showing that stuff on your feed.
And for boudoir, all of them, it's very tangible. And this could segue into our other topic. It's a tangible session. Like they're not coming to you just for a file. You're definitely everyone's getting an album,
Everyone's getting an album.
going through the IPS session,
The boudoir
spending money.
photography industry has done a fabulous job of setting the norm. The norm is the album. I never get clients who say, I just want digitals. That doesn't happen for boudoir. I get that for engagements. I get that for newborns. I get that for maternity. I get that for all other genres, even weddings, but not for boudoir ever. So it's, it's just been, it's been wonderful that I don't have that kind of like obstacle, it's just become very easy. It's not about, are they going to get an album? It's which album are they going to get?
And how much you're going to upgrade this album. That's what it is. Yeah.
I guess because of the privacy aspect of the photos.
And
because-
also the gifting aspect, because even if it's a gift for yourself, you want something to
have
show.
it. Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to scroll through your phone.
Because you're not going to be showing them online. Oh, here, look at my boudoir
look at
section.
my wife's boudoir.
You know what's going to be funny when 40 years from now when, this whoever did their boudoir session, their kids are cleaning up their stuff after they pass away, and they're like, they open this box and find it.
Oh my God, that's grandma. No, this is grandma. This is grandma's boudoir.
You know what I mean? It's gonna be a funny moment for those people.
That's when people start making TikToks.
Like, damn,
they're
grandma-
finding their
Grandma was a little
boudoir album.
spicy. Grandma was a little spicy.
And that ties into because your business as a whole before boudoir started really moving to tangible heirlooms, products, IPS. We all have the same sales team, but you, out of everyone with that same sales team, has hit it out of the park with drilling in the messaging. This is important. This is why your whole website content is very much geared to heirlooms. So tell us about why that was important to you and to Adalia Photography.
Yeah, I think so. I used to be very scared of selling albums. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't even know how to make a sample album. How do I design it? I had no idea. And so when my parents got married, they didn't even have a professional wedding photographer, and they had a few photos taken, by their families. And back when I was in my scrapbooking era, when I was a teenager at some point, I cut them all out in heart shapes and stuff. And I would put them on construction paper and put them in the scrapbook. And that's all I had from my parents' wedding. And then we got married, and as silly as that scrapbook is, I mean, it's become so priceless to me that I can show that to my daughter someday, and show her the trends of scrapbooking, from the 90s. And then when we got married, we made our album, and I loved having a wedding album, and whenever people would come over, we could show them, because we had a very small wedding. We only had 11 guests, and so people didn't see our wedding. They didn't see all the, what it looked like. And I just loved having that album to put on their lap and have them look through it. Now that, we have our daughter, just being able to show her the album and know that we're going to pass that on to her someday is so important. And, I tell clients all the time, I don't look at my digitals. We've been married now, this month will be 13 years. I don't even, I know they're in the fireproof safe somewhere, but I don't even know, which drive they're on.
Yes.
It's not important to me. Yes, it's protected and it's there for Olivia someday. But what's most important is that album. It's out in the living room. That's what's important. I always believed in that. I just didn't know how to do it. And I was so busy building the business and everything. And I knew that I wanted to, I started including albums probably in about, it was right around when I left teaching, about 2016 or so. I started including them in most of the collections, not all of them, but most. And whenever a client had an album included, I just loved that experience. I just felt and I used to, oftentimes I would deliver it to them. I just loved the closure of that experience more so than just sending off the gallery. But I didn't know how to actually make another income stream out of that. I didn't realize the potential of, of that, the sales aspect of it, and being able to serve them better. Like I would just design out, if they pre-purchased a 10-page album or 10 spreads back in the day, I used to do spreads. So that's what they would get. I would just design 10 spreads and then that was it. Here you go. These are the 10 spreads. So a lot of them, I'm sure, would have purchased more if I had offered it to them, but I didn't know how to do that. And I had followed Asset, the owner, Michaela, for years. I'd gone to a couple of her workshops. So that was always kind of in the back of my mind, and then finally, this was 2022, was when you posted in one of the groups, her group, maybe the Printographers Facebook group, about your experience.
Yeah.
And it was your post that, and I've told you this before, you changed my life that day. You had no idea.
She took it and
And,
ran with it. I'm like,
you
wait,
know?
come wait for me.
So she had this great post about her positive experience and how they were serving their clients better and how they were, having all these sales. And I knew I was leaving money on the table. I knew my clients were not well served the way I was doing it. And so I that same day, I think I booked the call with Michaela, and she got me right on the call. I signed up, and then I had to tell my husband, "Oh, I just made a little bit of an investment."
It's
Just
more
so
than the
you know.
$200 that we did for the
It's a little
SEO.
more than the 200, but I made it back in a month.
Yeah.
Literally
Yeah.
less than a month. I
Yeah.
made back the investment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think set you up for success that quickly?
I think already that first year that I became a partner, I already had a lot of clients with albums in their collections because most of my collections were not gallery only. They already had an album included. And because of that, that first year, they just knocked it out of the park because, when we made the list of the clients who had an album included versus no album included, because most of them were getting reveals.
Yeah.
And I really, the big change was obviously implementing it with the engagement sessions, which was not easy. But the wedding album part of it was easy. So it just kind of worked,
Your clients were already doing the reveal portion?
No, they were
Okay.
they just had an album included.
Okay.
Yeah, they had an album included.
And you would
so
just
we didn't have
design
to
it.
sell it. Yeah, we didn't have to sell them an album from scratch. They already were having it. And, so it was just most clients were already in the system with the album. So they were going to get that reveal. That was like the new thing, that they were going to do it online. Because back when I booked them, I didn't really talk about how we were going to design this album. I just said you had this album included, but I didn't tell them how that would all go down.
Yeah.
Same with us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we
then,
had some that were open to it and some were like, I didn't know about this process. I don't
Very
like
few.
this.
Yeah.
It
Very
was very,
few.
very minimal.
Very-
Very,
yeah.
minimal.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
few.
Yeah.
same.
But they just kind of felt caught by surprise.
Mhm.
But then that's when, we were with them some early on that we've learned like
Pre-console call.
how to do pre-con. Now they switched to pre-consult. So now the clients were definitely more well prepared. So you just had a few disgruntled
Right.
people, but it wasn't like so dramatic to be like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I
I
can't.
think the key is definitely in that preparation. It's not just talking about it when, like, a month before the wedding. It's talking about it when they first book. It's talking about it on the website when they first discover you.
Correct.
I think a game changer for me was also I hired our website designer to create a whole heirlooms page. And on that heirlooms page, it's all like little videos or some moving videos in there.
It's you hanging
And there's some
yourself.
photos. Yeah, it's me put in the wall on the wall. It's just, showing the tangible pieces. It's flipping through albums on Instagram, and I have like a little highlight for wedding albums. I have a highlight for engagements, and just, posting those on there. And then even in our welcome guide, I had our designer redo the welcome guide that they get, in the mail after they book. And there's a whole section on heirlooms, and it's showing off, whenever you have to put in a photo to make the page, kind of enhance the page, instead of just putting in a photo, it would be a photo of wall art, a photo of a living room with wall art over the fireplace or over the sofa. So I think just like all that messaging has, and like just helped with preparing the clients and getting them excited about the product.
Yeah.
But honestly, like now I feel like the website does the job for me. I don't really have to do a ton. Do I mention products during, like the engagement? Oh, this is going to look beautiful on your wall. This is a perfect wall art piece, like right here, going on the wall, or sometimes I'm doing a family photo and I'm like, this is the one that's going on mom's mantle. Make sure you're smiling.
You're better than
You
us.
know?
Yeah.
So I'll make, I'll reference that to get them excited
Mhm.
too, because I want them to have these tangible products. Like I see how important it is, even like in our own family.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
when my daughter sees like photos of her on the wall. So yeah, I think, that's been really important. But I feel like the website does a job for me. I think it attracts clients who want,
The message is clear.
who want tangibles. I never get the question anymore, can we take out the album? Never get
Yep.
that question.
Yep.
Yeah, because once you get to your website, the first thing you're hit with is
People who
product.
don't want it, they're not going to go to the next step.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't even have an option anymore. And
Right,
like,
right.
occasionally we'll get that question, and it's non-negotiable. You're getting an album. If you don't want it, you got to book somebody else. That
Yep.
but
What I did do was I created a collection that has the tiniest album. It has an 8x8 with 10 pages.
Yeah.
So I said, listen, if you really, if they were to ask that, then I would say, listen, if you're really not sure about the album at this point, then book this collection because it at least gives you something tangible. It's not big. My lab won't print smaller than,
the bare
than a
minimum.
10-page album.
Mm-hmm.
And at least this way, I know that I am, giving you something tangible to walk away with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that you will have something to pass on to future generations someday. Do you have to upgrade it? No. You can leave it at 10 pages. You pick your 15 favorite
Mhm.
images, but it's something.
Something.
And I mean, I don't often have to have that conversation, but like that's what that collection is there for anyway.
What
Yeah.
were the biggest hurdles you had since switching over?
Biggest hurdles would probably be just being like valuing our work so much for engagements that we include an album for that. And because of that, they pick their favorites for the album. So that was probably, that's been, even though it's been one of the more rewarding parts because not only does it prep them for the wedding,
Yeah.
but it does create another income stream and it makes our time more valuable. There have been, times where I do lose bookings because I don't do it the way X competitor does it,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
correct.
So
Mhm.
yeah, I've lost definitely that's a hurdle. I mean, that's an issue I have to deal with and I'm okay with that. I lose bookings.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also get more bookings from people who value
More.
that printed
The
artwork.
right
Right.
couple.
Implementing boudoir, heirlooms, etc. All these different types of photography is gearing you up for what you want to really talk about: the exit plan, your strategy, retiring, right? Retired life. Tell us what you want to talk about.
I
for
think
that.
a lot of photographers, I talk to a lot of photographers. I have a lot of contact with a lot of photographers just because I have a lot of people on my team and they work with other people and, our paths cross with different, photographers. And I think that most photographers, that I communicate with aren't thinking about that exit plan. And I think it's also because I hang out with a lot of younger people. But people my age, once you get to my age, like if you haven't thought about it, you got to start thinking real quick because it happens fast.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've been full time now. It'll be 10 years next year. But I started thinking about the exit plan a few years ago already, probably like right after Olivia was born, maybe about 6 years ago. Because, you start thinking about missing things on the weekends, like what's life going to look like when she gets a little bit older, I mean, we just had her recital weekend this past weekend, and it was literally, it's like an all week commitment,
Mhm. Yep.
so all weekend, I should say. It started on Thursday, dress rehearsal, and then, a couple recitals Saturday and Sunday. So, looking ahead, I mean, obviously I can plan for that because I know which weekend it is. So I was able to take off. I didn't take any weddings for this past weekend, knowing that I would have that. But I know that as she gets older, I don't want to miss as many things.
Yeah.
And then I also don't know if, I want to be shooting weddings when I'm, 50, 55.
Yeah, we talk about that here internally all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
How many how many photographers are shooting into the mid 50s
Yep.
or doing well and staying busy?
I think for males, it's a little bit different, I will say. I do see, you're more likely to see, a 50 plus male shooting weddings versus female. So I think there's a difference in that too. But as I think about what I want to do, I really love running the business. I love it. I love running the business. Talk to me about workflows and systems and automations and all that. I mean, I if I can do that full time, I think that's my next step. That's what I want to do. I love creating work for the associates. I love networking, with just other vendors, and finding new ways to bring in clients. I love that part of it. So really like that's my next goal is to be able to just like slowly, and I'm just becoming more selective with what I take on. And just taking on fewer weddings would be the next step. I mean, now I'm, like I said, I'm not really shooting boudoir anymore, but I still am shooting a lot of weddings. So in the next few years, I want to just kind of cut down on that. But in order to do that, I have to grow the other income streams,
Yeah.
especially since now my husband is retired. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, you're gonna have to go back to edit. No, sorry.
Actually, he is. He's taking over the post processing
Oh,
for
there you go.
weddings.
There you
Yeah,
go.
he's retired from teaching,
Yeah.
but not from working.
He's working for her
He's
now.
young. He's young.
He has a new boss.
He's very young. It's not time
I am
yet
the
to
boss
fully
now.
retire.
I am the captain now.
I will say I think about like what's next all the time, but I just never can think. I can't pinpoint what's next, right? And this fell into our laps as well, so I'm hoping something else falls into our lap where we can branch out or something. But I do think we have a good 10, 15 years
Yeah.
left in this industry before we have to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's good. That's great that you put a number on that, 10 to 15. So then maybe, because when I was putting a number on it, I was thinking, okay, 10-year plan, 5-year plan. Maybe you have a 20-year plan, but you can still have a plan. Like, where do I want to be in 20 years? Where do I want to be in 15 years? And, just kind of figure out what that is. And listen, that might change. Nothing is written in stone. That might change.
Yeah.
It might evolve, but at least you can start creating some steps to work towards to get towards that goal. And if the goal changes, then you just make another path, right? But at least, you can start working towards that and just evolving in different ways. That's what it's been for me, is just thinking about, okay, where do I want to be in 5 years and 10 years? And now, I mean, did I think that boudoir was going to be a part of this plan? No. Now I see that it is. So now I'm just kind of redirecting some of my attention and my resources, right? I knew I would need other income streams. Now I know more about what income streams those are going to be,
Yeah.
You have options now.
Yeah, I have
Yep,
more
yep.
options. I mean, there's always options, right? That's what, with my husband leaving, teaching, we talk about that. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You have to go shoot again? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's that option.
That's one thing that when me and Jen she went full time first and then I went, but I always said, what's the worst thing? Like, we have to go back to find a job. Like, it's not even a worst thing. It's just, that's just like your plan B. Like, worst case, it doesn't work out, whatever.
I'm not going back to the chicken factory.
Yeah, I'm not going to have to drag me back.
Over my dead body.
It is the worst thing, actually.
See, for me, I worked at I was in the printing business, so it was more of like I worked at my own pace.
Right.
I didn't really have many bosses, so it was a easy job to hang on to. I could always go back to that like easily, but would I want to? Maybe not right now.
You could always edit for others too. Like, there's so many things you
Yeah,
can do.
right,
You know what I
right.
mean? You
Shoot
can edit
for
for
other
others.
studios,
You can,
yep.
even
A lot of things you could do.
Yeah.
so many
I
things.
second
yeah.
shot, and I was an
Social
associate
media.
for a while. It's more like now it's like I know the value in it of like the one thing that I didn't like when I was an associate was that personal connection with the client was never there for the studio I shot for. They would just send me and would just with the couple's name and where to be, and that's it. Like there's no personal connection, like there's no trust. So for me, that was always a struggle showing up and then getting them to open the door, like as far as letting you in to capture the wedding. That was a a big challenge. So I don't know if I could go back to that. Like if I
But that
had
was a
to.
very, very poorly run associate program.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
like,
Yeah.
like not delivering like their
Yeah,
images
yeah, it
after kind
depends
of
on yeah.
program.
I think our if they do an engagement session, it makes it a lot easier
Very
because we do
different.
offer
Yep.
collections without.
Yep.
But it is nicer when they do book with the engagement session. They get to meet the photographer first, and then
Yep.
we invite them to meet with the photographer on a Zoom call like the month leading up before the
Mhm.
wedding. And I'm always referring to them by name in the emails.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying like your photographer this. I'll say, Marianne will do this. Marianne will be there for the like I keep mentioning their names because even though I handle all the communications with our wedding associates, any associate weddings, I still want them to feel like, it's a personalized experience and,
Mhm.
it's not just anybody going to shoot your wedding. It's
Yeah.
this person,
Assign. You have assigned. Yep.
It's crazy how often that happens too at a wedding. Like you show up and the videographer, like they don't even know the
They don't know who's who.
videographer's name.
Yeah.
Like, who's the bride?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't even know what time this person's showing up.
Yeah.
I'll ask like the groom, like, do you know what time the videographer's
Yeah,
coming?
yeah,
So
yeah. They're like, "Oh, yeah, we
because I
have
don't
a
want to get
video."
dressed twice, and they're like, no idea. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, cool. I'm gonna get you dressed then.
Yeah,
But like,
yeah.
it's crazy that they don't know the person's
Yeah.
name. It's just like they just hire somebody like randomly. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. No, I have a lot of respect for how you're doing it because I feel like there are a lot of photographers. They're very willy nilly when they go into starting an associate program. If you even want to call it that, I don't even think it's an associate program. It's more like I wasn't available for this date. I'm just gonna find somebody in this Facebook group to shoot this wedding for me, and I'll make a couple $100 off the top.
that's
Like, and
the
I feel
sad
like almost
part.
everyone
Yeah.
I feel like everyone is doing that. Like, I'm not available, but you can hire this person for much cheaper and blah blah blah. That's how people get into hot water.
Yep.
That's how people end up finding themselves on these Facebook groups. Hey, my associate bounced tomorrow. The wedding's tomorrow. I need someone to fill in ASAP.
Or they do a switcheroo. Like they say they're gonna show up, but it's somebody else like on the day of. At that point, like
I mean,
no,
for
you can't.
emergency
In an
situations.
emergency, yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay.
not
No,
the worst thing
I'm
in
not
the
even
world.
talking about emergency
Mhm.
situations. They just don't show up. Like maybe they booked a nicer wedding somewhere else.
Yeah, I see that a lot
Yeah.
too. Yeah, I see that because they say that their contract protects them. If I'm not available, I can send someone on my team, right? So this associate is on my team, so they're not in breach of contract. But that's a pretty shitty way
Shitty
to
way
do
to work.
to
That's
do a
crazy,
business.
right?
You know what I mean? That's pretty shitty.
People can be sleeping.
Like you should know who's showing up on the wedding day.
Right.
And that
right.
was one of the things that was important to us when we started our associate team. Like, this is your photographer. This is not someone that we assigned. This is actually someone you chose too. Because all of our, I don't know if it's the same case with you or not, but all of our associates, there's a formula that they shoot to, right? There's a formula that they shoot to, but I give them a little bit of flexibility to, to put their own flavors in a little bit, especially during the portrait part, right? But even with the portraits themselves, I need these shots, right? Because that's what they're expecting in the gallery. But if you guys want to do some fun creative stuff, by all means do that, but make sure you get all these shots for us first. Oh, so do you do that with your associate brand, your associate shooters? Like, you give them a formula, like, listen, I need these shots.
They know what the must-haves are.
Mhm.
And I have photographers who are more like right now, we've had a lot of discussions about the trends in wedding photography,
Mhm.
the motion blur, the direct flash, things like that.
Dutch angles?
And yeah, the Dutch angle. Um, that you won't see too much in ours. That's something I haven't
with
really
us,
given
yeah.
them a lot of freedom with, but
Yep.
they'll pop it in. But we have a culling and editing team, so
It's
They
there,
don't
but
see
it's not
that,
there.
like, oh,
I've,
this-
I've trained the colors,
This is a
to,
mistake here.
yeah.
I know your culling team.
So, I have some shooters who are more likely, who kind of have actually been an inspiration to the rest of us with all of the, more trendy stuff. And, our style is definitely more on the timeless classic side, but we do like to sprinkle in a
Yeah.
few of the
you
little
have to.
trendy things. Yeah, you have to. So we had a team meeting in the winter, and I had a couple of the associates do presentations on, I kind of just made a list of what people's strengths are and what they could speak on, and I had somebody speak, about how to shoot with direct flash, how to do the motion blur easily, things like that, to provide education for the rest of the team, including me, because, I haven't been an early adopter of all of the trends. But I definitely, was very introspective this winter, and I realized like we need to do this stuff, because otherwise we become those outdated photographers that nobody wants, and then, you lose the bookings. So, so they have the freedom to do that. I had some photographers who are less enthusiastic about adopting new trends than others. So those have taken a little bit more education. It's not that they're, exactly resisting it. It's more that they need more education. They need also reminders, because it's not in their MO to do these things.
Yeah.
Even for me, I always, have to kind of remind myself, and I'll tell my associate, hey, remind me to do motion blur when we're doing this walking shot. Remind me, after dinner that I need to switch. Usually after dinner is when I switch to the direct flash on the dance floor or the dragging the shutter, stuff like that. I wait for after dinner, So
Get all the formalities saved.
get all the formalities, my nice classic style that's going to go in your album.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yep. And then all the other stuff we could do after dinner for, that last dance set. So, just kind of reminding, having our assistants remind some of those shooters who are less likely to remember themselves. Sometimes I've even sent like a quick text, when I know it's like dinner time. Hey, don't forget, like switch.
I
to
better
direct
see some
flash.
blurry photos. I better see them.
I better see some blurry photos.
You don't get the designs anymore, but has anyone noticed that they're putting those trendy shots in their album?
They're putting them in. Yeah, they're putting them in. And you know how I know, I don't, necessarily see the designs anymore of, for the albums, but I know that they are favorites because they put them in their little carousels on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're putting them in there, the direct flash, the dragging the shutter, the motion blur. It's, if they post 10, 20 photos in their carousel on Instagram, there's some of the trendy stuff is in there. So I'm like, okay, well, there you have it. Because they could have picked, I delivered 1,000 images, and out of those 1,000, they picked these 20, and it's included. So
That's what they like.
We got a 12 by 12, 100-page album. One of them is a blurry shot, and it's this big because the album is so huge. And I'm like, and it's next to a crystal clear photo. And I'm like,
Yeah, 100-page album.
they love it.
You're buying lunch today.
That might go now.
Speaking of that, we had a past bride this week we did like her maternity announcement photos. And prior to that, she sent Jen like these blurry photos as inspiration.
Like, do you mind me asking?
She was like, I need one of these.
I've been wanting these.
Yeah, and we were like, yeah, of course, right? So I did like 3 of them, and she posted them and was like ecstatic.
For them,
Like,
this is like
She was like, even her mom loved them.
The blurry photos.
Yeah, she was like, her mom was like, those blurry ones are so cool.
Yeah.
So like she was
They're
like
so hip.
over the moon.
Yeah.
She was over the moon. She's like,
it's
I've
the
always
2025.
she said I've always wanted a
blurry photo?
nice blurry
A
photo.
nice blurry
We
photo.
did her wedding before the trend came out. So I guess she's been seeing them since then. And she's like, that's what I want.
Yeah, so I was like, I was more than happy to do it.
You can make it
and,
blurry and pose.
Yeah. No.
I won't
I
say.
see,
Not the same.
I like to do it I like to do it during walking shots and like movement.
When it makes sense, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
movement,
to me, I feel like it just looks better that way for at
Yeah.
least
And
for-
then the whole wedding part. I just got a request for this Saturday's bride too. She wants to do the whole wedding party, blurry.
Oh,
I'm
with them
like,
moving, yeah.
Yeah.
I've
them
done
in the
that
middle.
shot
I'm like,
too.
sure.
I've done it,
I do that. Yeah, I do that.
but
was like,
it was
sure.
like for that walking shot, it took me like 3 tries to get like the
I
shutter
told her,
speed.
I was like, we don't know how to shoot blurry, so give us a
Yeah.
minute.
so I was telling them it's like usually it's like happy accidents, right? So I told her I'm sorry, but we have to do it again. She was like, I don't care how many times we do it. She was like,
I want this blurry
Yeah,
photo.
she's like, well, as long as you get it,
Is it where the subject's sharp and the background's blurry, like
The whole
motion
thing
blur?
is
No, the
blurry.
Or
walking
whole
shot
thing's
is the whole thing is
The
blurry.
whole
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
is
yeah.
blurry.
What I
That's
try
what I
to
thought.
do is I try to at least kind of like a panning shot, but not as sharp as like
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Your
yeah,
shutter's
yeah.
a little longer than
Yeah.
it used to be.
So I try to do it in that aspect, and I like it. I feel like, and especially when you make them black and white, it kind of has a little dreamy like a look to
Old-
it,
old
right?
look, yeah.
Sure, Bob.
It's grown on me.
We're falling for it. It's all right.
And I will say the direct flash,
You love it.
yeah, we've always done the shutter drag.
Yeah.
All of us
At
for
reception,
years,
yeah.
right?
I've been
For
doing it for a long
years.
time.
But now it's like, let's say you're shooting outdoors real quick, right? Usually, what happens when they want like a quick night shot, I will have to go get my LED or an octabox.
Not anymore.
No.
Not anymore. I'm like, I turned the LED on the flash so I could focus. I'm like, let's go outside right now. I'm
Yeah,
ready. Like,
that's
I'm
it.
ready.
Ready.
Yeah,
I
it's
love that too.
It's
I have
so
to say,
easy,
yeah.
and they love it. I was like, this is amazing. Like, so I like that aspect of it because as the years have gone on, I like a more simpler approach to weddings.
Yep.
Like, I go as light as I can.
Less.
Even though I show up with a lot of stuff, I'm not carrying all that stuff all
Mm.
day. I just bring stuff for any scenario. But now it's like I can
Right.
do 50, 60 of these weddings with just one camera,
One, yep, just
on
the
you
flash,
with
yep.
a flash. Like, I
Mhm.
love it. I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
I also love how easy it has become to give the gallery more variety without that much effort.
Mm.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like you don't need another portrait look. I mean, I always strive to include every portrait location I can think of,
Mm.
but by the end of the night, like you don't need another spot. You just need to change, the technique a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just,
Mhm.
do the direct flash or do the motion blur, and then that can add another spread to their album
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
by doing
And you
that
can do that
because
anywhere.
yeah,
The hallway.
exactly. The elevator,
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty
Yep.
much. Yeah.
fireplace, wherever, sitting on the bar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, you just have to create a set out of it so that they have something to pair it with for when it
Mhm.
comes to the album design.
Yeah.
It's very important to evolve. And I tell this story all the time. Like, when we first started, we were talking to these 30-year veterans. They've been in the industry for a long time. They were rocking and rolling when they first started, but now their inboxes are empty. It's nothing but crickets. And you look at their portfolio, it hadn't evolved since 1990s, So I feel bad for them, and I'm grateful for them paving the way for us to exist today, right? But at the same time, if you're not evolving with your craft or evolving with the marketplace, someone else is going to book those clients.
There's a good amount of educators who we've like when we came into the industry that we looked up to, and their style's still the same now. Like, a lot of them haven't evolved,
Mhm.
and they just, as time goes on, everyone's forgetting who they are.
Mhm.
Because they probably feel a certain way about these trends and styles. And like, well, this is what I got known for. I'm not gonna evolve. So
Yeah.
I am seeing that. It kind of sucks, but I feel like you have to find that balance of your style and
And
adapt.
you
Some
have to be
adding, yep.
open-minded. You
Yeah.
have to be open-minded. Yeah, I made a mistake once. Not a huge mistake, but one of my associates asked me if he could do some, drag the shutter on the dance floor. I'm like, it's not really my style.
Mm.
And then the next wedding that he did, he was second shooting for one of the other associates, and he decided to just do it, that night and see if what I thought after, And then I saw the photos, and my color asked me, "Hey, do you want to include these?" And I said, "You know what? Include them. They're fun. Let's see what the couple says." Included a bunch. Do you know that they did a full spread? They put 6 of those on a spread in their album. When I got that album design, I opened it. I couldn't believe it, and I thought, you know what? Like that, there is a lesson to be learned here. And
Mhm.
from then on, I tell everybody
Drag your
after
shutters.
dinner, like, you want to do it, do it.
What's the platform you said? It's Loom, right? It's called Loom. You said,
Yeah.
You're like, we need more of these. We need more of these blurry photos for the next wedding.
Yeah.
But I have a good follow-up question to all that, right? So you know how these veterans, they are resisting change because it's not authentic to their style, right? So how do you, and I think this is an open-ended question for all of us too, how do you stay relevant while still being authentic to yourself and your brand? Because you don't want to sell out, you know what I mean? You want this to be sincere. I don't know if you guys.
I always struggle with that. But I think is what Alex was saying a couple of minutes ago is like sprinkling it in and keeping your true style, but also changing your style a bit as well. Like, but not such a drastic difference where clients that booked you are getting a different product.
Mm.
It's more of just like tweaking. Even my editing from like 5 years ago is different
Oh,
than
yeah.
now, or even from 2 years ago. I think all the small changes that you make as time goes on make a big difference. But
Gradual evolution.
yeah. So I feel like if you're not, making these small changes, then you're gonna get left behind.
Yep.
but also like I feel like making those small changes is enough that your style is still who you are. Like you're not gonna change the way you look at stuff. Like for us, if you have a timeless style, doesn't matter what you do. Like your style is still gonna be relevant, in my
Right,
opinion.
right.
But I think also it's important. Well, first of all, you have to have it balanced, right? The sprinkling is the key word there, right? You
Yeah.
want to balance it between, your timeless, what the couple expects, and other little things, and then not overdo it. Like you don't need 10 motion blur photos.
Right.
You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
including maybe 2 or 3. Like it's not a ton,
Mm-hmm.
but it's enough. And then the other thing I think is important is to actually show that some photographers they don't update their website. So if that's nowhere on your website because you haven't updated your website in 10 years and then you deliver that, well, then that's going to be a problem with the client, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as we started incorporating more of this, I started posting that on Instagram because the truth is that most clients are not going to, once they book us, they're not going to the website to see our updated portfolio. They're not
Yeah.
going to read the blogs. They already know they're planning seating card charts and things like that. They're not going back to visit for that. So what I started making a conscious effort to do is post that on Instagram.
Yep.
So because that's where they are. That's where they kind of keep in touch throughout the engagement,
Mm-hmm.
So I started incorporating those in like the carousels, night shots so that they can expect to do a night shot, the direct flash, and all those things. I started showing that more. And then this way I figured, you know what, if they're seeing it over and over, then they'll know to expect it and it won't come out of left field. It won't be surprised when it's in their gallery. And they'll get excited if they like it because, hey, my photographer's doing this too. And then if they're not a fan, then it gives them an opportunity to reach out ahead of time. Hey, I noticed in the last post, you posted this kind of thing. I just want to let you know, like, that's not really my thing. I'd
Yep.
rather, I don't need, or you know what I get a lot of for that is black and white photos. I always post some black and whites there because I always deliver some black and whites. So I want them to see. And I do get some brides let me know that they don't want black and whites in their galleries.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, fine, great, less work for me. It's, they don't want it. They don't want I might still make them for myself,
But they'll have a color version of it. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least it gives them it exposes them to what might be in their gallery and gives them an opportunity to prepare themselves, but to also reach out in case that's not something
Definitely.
that
Yep.
they
I
want.
actually had a couple weddings coming up. They actually said they don't want any motion blur during reception dancing. They're like, oh, those things, lights moving. I'm like, got it. Yep.
No
You don't do that
problem.
anyway.
I do all my dancing
Yeah.
shots.
All
are
our
motion
dancing
blur.
have motion blur.
They,
She does shutter drag
Yeah.
like
All my dancing shots. Have you seen my dancing shots?
I would say like
you actually stay in the room
Better
during
than
reception
you.
dancing? You
Well,
telling me?
my wedding's not yours.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, yours. No. Why
Like,
would I be there?
You ever seen Bird Box where Sandra Bullock's in blindfolds? That's Karis. Like when you try to find her, during the reception hour, it's like, where is she at? I can't. I don't know. I don't know.
Sure, who's the one? Hey, take over the dancing. I'm gonna go print my sneak peeks. I'm like, this is your wedding, but you're gonna be gone for an hour, okay?
That's what she's doing. All the shutter dress. we had a bride before that she booked us, like on our blog. It was sprinkled in the reception. We had some shutter drag photos in the blog post. So she was like, I don't like those, like,
Yeah.
and how many are you showing the whole reception? So Jen sent her the gallery of that wedding, and she was like, no, just a couple sprinkled in. She was like, perfect.
I
She just
think
wanted
the-
to make sure that all the
Yeah.
photos were not like that. And we're
Yep.
like, no, of course not.
Yep.
I think the
Right.
sprinkling in is very important.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
for those photographers who've gotten famous over the trends, they lean in so much of the trends that I've seen in brides groups. They'll be like, I hired so and so because they did the trends, but I didn't realize my gallery
The
would
entire
have
gallery,
50
right?
blurry
It's all blurry photos.
The whole gallery's blurry.
And there's Dutch angles.
They look at the
Yeah,
gallery like
yeah,
this. Like,
Dutch
So
angle.
you
I
have to
can't. Yep.
again be very balanced with it.
Yeah.
But just because you're getting famous off of these trends doesn't mean that's gonna stick and land. And it's just a nice little
But there is
touch.
something to be said about shooting in a timeless way.
Mhm,
Yes.
Of course.
Jose Villa is still relevant.
Oh, yeah.
20 some years later. You know what I mean?
Top, still the top.
Yeah,
And
he's,
the
he's
other
still top.
thing, you have to think about is that I know my ideal client is not paying for their own wedding. The parents are paying,
Mhm.
right? And what are these parents
Yeah,
going
the
to
blurry
say
photo.
Mhm.
when you
Their
have all
house.
blurry and crooked photos, right? I
Yes.
always think about that. They don't want, I saw somebody post recently a formal family photo crooked.
Oh,
That
no.
triangle on a formal
my
family
God.
photo. And I'm thinking to myself,
Nope.
sweetheart, like, which mom is going to want that photo
Mm-hmm.
on their mantle?
Mm-hmm.
No one wants that on their mantle.
I started making a reel when Dutch Angles came back, but then I deleted it because I was like, I don't feel like fighting with people on the internet.
Mm.
When we got married in 08, I want to say
Mm.
75% of our album
Yep.
was crooked.
Yep.
And when we showed
Same.
our parents our photos, my dad was like, why is everything crooked? And I was like, that's the way, you just defend them to death. You
Yeah.
love your photos. Years later, we got into photography, hate our photos. So I started drafting a reel of like, hey, this was like till 2008, crooked. And then like kind of telling our story about like why now we hate our photos. And a lot of it to do was with like the crookedness along with other things. But like, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to start on the internet today because people will come
The
at me.
problem is that even if you try to straighten them, they're fucked up because like
Because their
You
crop so
lose-
tight.
yeah,
you
lose
cutting
somebody's
somebody's
head or
arm
something.
off,
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
And that's where AI comes in. It'll be
Like,
somebody else's head,
a
but
family
it's like
photo,
1,000 photos.
like to me, that's like a cardinal sin. A family photo,
No,
Dutch
no,
angle.
yep.
I also saw it for the recessional.
Come on,
Yeah, the recessional photo
Yeah.
coming down the aisle
I'm
and
sorry.
all crooked. Yeah, so
I'll
that's
get
a
all the
all
hate.
crooked photos. Yep.
I'll
can't.
take all the steam for this. It's
can't.
bullshit to do
Yeah.
it in those situations. Like, come on.
Yeah,
We're
you have
about
to
to go
know what
viral again.
situation.
right? Don't tell me what to do.
No, Dutch angle is a no. Nope. I don't. Yep.
It's fine if you sprinkle. Fine,
Like
a
one or
portrait
two. Yeah, one or
of
two.
them walking
Yep.
or they're fine. Do it.
Mix it with motion.
But on
Okay,
a
do it.
family photo,
Nothing
come on,
formal.
man.
Yep.
So what's next for Alex? What do you got on down the pipeline for the next, let's say 6 months, next year?
So
Yeah.
what's next for me? Right now, it's all about systems and processes. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. We implemented a new CRM. So for clients, I use Tave and Dubsado. Tave for weddings and anything except boudoir. And then on Dubsado, I have boudoir. But then I have a third CRM, which some people might find crazy. But this is more for our back end. I use Monday.
Oh, yeah.
And use Monday, yeah. So love it so far, but it is so robust and there's so many possibilities and customizations
Yeah.
available that we've been building it since probably the last 6 months. I hired a company to help me build the system, and they created a bunch of boards that I've been using, and it's great. But as we've been using them, then you see potential for other ways to use it or things that need to be improved. So I am looking, I've been building it so that I can pass it off. So my husband just, he's been a big piece of this puzzle. I've been prepping it, creating it so that I can then hand it off to him. And that's our post-processing,
Like a
workflows
checklist.
and everything.
Checklist
Yeah, it
system.
has a lot of different, you can assign the person to the
Right,
job.
right.
You have the due date, you have, whether we've paid them or not. There's so many things that we can do in there, the links to the Dropbox files or the Google Drive and things like that. Yeah, so that's been, definitely a big focus. I've spent a lot of time on that. And now my husband's last day is June 30th. He's already working
He's
on the
checked out.
post-processing. He's checked out of his other job, yeah, but he does have a couple more weeks left. But then in July, I'm going to onboard him and train him to do it, and then I'm going to let go of that part of it. So that's a huge process. That's coming to an end soon. In July, I think I'll be done with that, and then that'll be his job to continue to improve it. And then I've been building other processes on there for marketing, stepping up the marketing, focusing on ads. I was always very, I built my business organically, and I was never really interested in running ads. But with the boudoir, I learned a big lesson that there is a lot of potential in these ads if you know how to do them. And so I'm working with an ads agency right now to implement what I've learned through the boudoir ads to grow our weddings more through ads instead of just, organically word of mouth and, Instagram, and just kind of have another, again, avenue to get clients and be able to grow that part of it. So that's where my focus is right now, is all that behind the scenes stuff. Because, the workflows as far as client journey, that's all, that's kind of done. Will I tweak it here and there? Yeah. But our client journey is pretty mapped, is mapped out pretty well. We tweak things here and there, but for the most part, that doesn't really require my attention. Or the post processing, now my husband's going to handle it. That won't require my attention. The delivery of product, the album designs, everything like that, that's taken care of with Asset. So I can really focus on these other things
And being a mom.
and being a mom and, also training, recruiting. I can really focus on that because I haven't done a ton of, until this year, I had not done a ton of recruiting, but I found myself as my associates, build their own businesses and they're less available, sometimes, but I still don't have enough work for them. I find myself turning away a lot of work for those popular dates, and because our post-processing wasn't exactly where I wanted. We've had to grow that team. I was never comfortable taking on more than 3 weddings in a weekend, but now that the culling and editing team, is more solid and they're, I have 5 people now that they're good. Now I'm able to take on more than 3 in a weekend. So, now I have that availability, but now I need people with availability because we can handle the back end, but we need the people.
Right.
And then,
That's the
the
biggest.
marketing obviously ties in. So, so that's where my focus is, on those things
Are your editors editing remotely or are they coming in on site?
remotely.
All remotely.
And then my husband will check everything once it gets back.
How are you getting files to them?
So we use Smart Preview catalogs.
Okay.
The only editor who gets raw is the boudoir editor because she actually creates the JPEGs for me, and just delivers my JPEGs. All of the other editors, they just get a light, because to transfer a whole wedding
Yeah, I was
is
gonna say,
ridiculous. You
like,
can't do
yeah,
that.
thousands of images
Right.
versus a couple
So
hundred,
they're
probably.
just getting the Lightroom, catalog. And then when it comes back, then my husband and I process it. So all this time it's been me processing them, but now that's part of what I'm handing off to him. So he'll be processing them and creating those JPEGs. So
I know you got more time now. You know?
Time to pull your weight.
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
You're not gonna sit around. No.
He's excited though. He's excited for something new.
Yeah.
Teaching. He was teaching,
You gotta stay busy.
25 years
Yeah.
total, about 21, I think, at his current college. And he's ready for something new, and we see that his time, is going to be really well spent in the business because we're going to see the benefits,
Oh yeah.
of his time on our business. Whereas, with teaching, yes, it's very rewarding in, many, many ways, but he was putting in a lot of extra time and, he wasn't being compensated for that. So, and not, teachers don't do it for the compensation, but as we near, retirement age, he's officially retired from teaching. We see that his time was going to be really well spent, being able to, create generational wealth for our daughter and, being able to create a better retirement for ourselves, because he'll be able to, help me grow, this business that has so much more potential.
Amazing.
So, Alex, why don't you share with our listeners how they can find you?
So I am on Instagram at Idalia Photography. For the ladies who are interested in boudoir, that's at Idalia Boudoir. That's linked to on our main Instagram account, Idalia Photography. And that's the best spot to find me.
Are you on TikTok?
So I am on TikTok, but I am not currently posting on TikTok. However, with my newfound time, I think I'm going to be heading over there because there is a lot to over there too.
Oh, especially with
So-
boudoir.
Boudoir. Yep. I think
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So that's currently on the to-do list. Hasn't happened yet, but I will be focusing on that as well.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, we're so happy to have you
Thank
join us
you.
Yes.
today.
Thank you for
Pleasure.
joining
Thank you guys for having me.
us.
This was so fun. Yeah.
I was like, no way, we're talking at 2:00. It's almost 2:00.
Yeah, I know.
It's a quarter to, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Parents wouldn't
We're
shut
done.
up.
Make good time.
Yeah.
What a
Sure.
talker.
So if you guys would like to check out our bloopers, behind the scenes highlights, and all that good stuff, you can find that at focused.af on Instagram. You can actually visit our website now at focused-af.com. We have to pre-record this at some point so we can just
Yeah.
reuse
Just
it.
run it.
Yeah, just run it towards the end, right? And if you guys would like to share some stories with us, we'd love to hear it. You can email us at hello@focused-af.com. You can find us on YouTube. How can they find us on YouTube, bro?
You can find us at the Focus AF podcast, and please subscribe.
You can be our subscriber number 8.
Like and subscribe. We have over 30. Thank you.
Smash that button.
Smash that subscribe button. So on that note, are you guys focused AF?
Yes.
Hungry, yeah.
Hungry AF? All right, let's get it done. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Thank you, Alex.
We'll see you
Thank you,
guys
guys.
Appreciate your time.
on the next one. Adios.
Adios.
Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams Ben and Karis.
And Jenn Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am Focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be Focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.